The Elite Racing Network is so glad you could join us for tonight's penultimate event of the season. The Byrd 200 here live in virtual Charlotte, where we are going to crown four drivers, or expect four drivers, should I say, that will be fighting for a championship in 1 week time. That championship battle is the closest it has ever been at the cut line since we began this season, and we have 9 drivers all vying for 4 spots. We'll take a look at the points here tonight before we get running for tonight's Byrd 200 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'll bring in my good colleague there, Rasav. Rasav, tonight, more than any other night, you must have a perfect night.
Yeah, you really do, and especially watching this round and how it's played out. I mean, all of the chasers, all 9 of these guys have gotten caught up in incidents during this round. They've made mistakes that have cost them victories and chances to lock themselves in to next week at Homestead. So it's been really intriguing to watch, and through all of that, we come out to this race where fourth on back is, or fourth to eighth at least, is separated by just 4 points, as you guys can see there. Chris Wright, the most comfortable of the guys, pointing their way in, and even he's only 14 points clear of the cut line. That very quickly can be suddenly taken away from him. The cars are just starting to get rolling here, and so it's going to be really interesting. Jared Rexing just actually cleared a tie with Chad Frankenfield as he got pole position for this event. So there you'll see pole position, Jared Rexing, Scott Crump lining up alongside him, Chris Wright in third position. All 3 of those guys in contention here to make that championship 4. None of them locked in. Chad Thornquist in 4th position. Tate Lytle, the first of your locked-in drivers into the championship 4, and Matthew Weeks, another chaser, there in 6th. Frankenfield and Van de Sant making up that 4th row. Again, 2 chasers trying to find their way into that championship 4, and then we've got a little ways back to go before we find our next group of chasers. Let's take a look where they are. Actually, quite some ways back. So Nick Massey locked himself in last week. You can see him down in the 24th position.
That's actually...
We're missing David Tooker today. I guess that he then will not be competing for a championship.
So it'll just be 4 drivers all competing for that final spot. In 134 laps, we answered that question that these guys have been asking themselves all season long. Who will be fighting for a championship at Homestead? We find out with the drop of the green flag here at Charlotte. The Byrd 200 is live on the Elite Racing Network.
Yeah, so here we go. Great start for Jared Rexing. You obviously need that. This racetrack is expected to roll a little bit kind of like a super speedway, similar to what we've seen from 1.5 mile and larger racetracks. So it's all about getting big runs and really making adjustments on the racetrack and finding guys to push you along. So here we go. Rexing with that big jump on the start, but already you can see Scott Crump's caught back up to the bumper of that 10 car. He looks ready to potentially attack, but Jared Rexing leads the first lap here tonight. That's another bonus point to add to that 10's tally. So he's now up to 2,071 points. Again, we'll keep relative track of that as the race goes on, but we're only going to get official confirmation after the checkered flag waves.
Yeah, less than 2 laps, but already 2 points added due to him winning the pole. And keep in mind, Rexing kind of found himself in a little bit of a hole after that weird wreck that he occurred with Jeff Green last week. So it put himself in a hole right now. He currently has cleared the cutoff line by only +2, but we'll see what happens if anybody can get around him. That is also a chaser. They also will be awarded 1 point to their total. There'll be an eye. We'll be keeping an eye on it all race long.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Rexing was having a great season, was having a great chase run, lots of playoff points to kind of sit back on. But yeah, to lose them all, that big cushion that he had last week really, really hurt him. But again, to still be right there on the cut line, that's as good as it gets for that 10 car. But he now needs to kind of come out here and deliver. And he did that with the pole position. He's doing that so far with leading the first 3 laps of this event. But Scott Crump, a guy who's very hungry and trying to chase down this number 10 car, don't count out this 90 car to potentially make the move and go for the win. Same with this 20 car right behind them in 3rd position. Remember, 2 cars from this field will make it in, so potentially 1 off of wins, 1 off of points, or even 2 off of points if we have a non-chaser or repeat winner from this round victorious. So look at someone like Tate Lytle in 5th, or Chad Thornquist, who started in 9th, or Andrew Rucker, who's currently running Thornquist started in 4th, but Rucker running currently in 7th, the highest of the non-chasers.
And let's talk about that there. You mentioned here how we'll have one person on points, one person perhaps on a win. But Jared Rexing, we're acting as if he does not win this race, he'll be above that cut line. Him winning actually moves the cut line to Chris Wright, who's plus 15. And so these guys, it kind of puts them in a must-win scenario with Rexing leading right now, as would be the case if Scott Crump would be able to take that lead away from Rexing. It would put Scott Crump safely in, and that 15-point cushion becomes the cutoff line.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're one of these guys below the cut line, if you're not the car in victory lane, the one you want it to be is either going to be Tate Lytle, Nick Massey, or Chris Wright, because all of those guys right now are virtual locks, or 2 of them are actual locks. 1 of them is a virtual lock for that Final 4. Chris Wright right now, what he has to do is just comfortably roll around. Obviously, we know that 20 car, he wants to go out and win this race. However, you just want to kind of roll, run good lap times, be right there, because that 14-point gap is going to be very difficult for these guys to overcome. If you're finishing in the top 10, you're running in the top 10 all night.
Right now, no one's been able to wrestle the lead away from Rexing. Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield in hot pursuit. Just behind them, though, Andrew Rucker in that 64 car, and then you see Chris Wright, who's just trying to have a good night here today as we have a battle for the lead brewing up. Here comes Scott Crump underneath. Slight contact between the two, and Chad Frankenfield, is he going to split the difference between the 3? Almost 3 wide, and they make contact again down the backstretch.
Yeah, that was very tight there going 3 wide. Chad Frankenfield, though, that 15 car has been the fastest car on the racetrack these past couple of laps. That last time around, 0.4 of a second faster than Rexing and Scott Crump, though. This time he's kind of caught up a little bit with that side draft, and now Andrew Rucker even slides on by into 3rd position, or at least going side by side with Chad Frankenfield. But yeah, there you go. I mean, it's going to be somewhat easier to run up alongside these guys, but it's going to be very difficult to pull off an overtake because of that draft. So maybe not like a super speedway race per se, but maybe a bit more like a drafting race for sure, where you do have to kind of time your runs just perfectly in terms of how you actually end up making moves. So still keep an eye out here, because this could be very interesting and strategic how these guys played out.
Yeah, it did look like Scott Crump had the advantage in turn 1. They're underneath the 90, or excuse me, underneath the 10, but the 15 was able to push through and actually kind of bust through that bubble of air and allow Rexing to retake the lead. But now it's actually kind of hurt the 15 car. He's fallen back into the clutches of the 64 car, and here comes Chris Wright right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, I question a little bit. Obviously, Andrew Rucker out here to do as well as he can and win the race. So, and it's early on as well. But that 64 car, I'm shocked he isn't right now trying to slot in behind the 15 car and push his teammate back up to these leaders. Because right now, those two running side by side, it's really creating big separation between this second pack and these leaders.
Yeah, the leaders are starting to run away a little bit by half a second in front. And these guys being side by side is doing nothing but slowing these guys down. And some of these guys are in desperate mode. They need to catch back up. That 15 car in front of that pack, he finally is able to clear the 20 car, and he'll move back to the bottom of the racetrack. You see this gaggle of cars about all the way up through 11th. There is a big gap between that, and I would imagine Tyler Fody there in the 14th position. So about 13 cars inside that first pack before we get back to the 40 car, who's trying to reel in and make it one big happy pack once again.
Absolutely, yeah. Tyler Fody right now sitting just over a second behind Josh Adams in 13th. So yeah, we've got kind of two major packs and one kind of breakaway right at the front here occurring on the racetrack. And here's what it looks like. Not as clear as you might see sometimes, but there you see the 40 car leading that second pack, as well as that gap ahead of the racetrack, and then a little bit of a breakaway towards the front where the 10 car, the 90 car, and now the 15 car is starting to separate a little bit as well there from the rest of those close fighters there. So interesting here. What's surprising to me is that this second pack, they're running single file. It's not like they're running side by side here, that they're kind of slowing each other down, but it just doesn't seem to be working for them to catch up to this lead group of cars.
There are lots to be known here at Charlotte, both virtually and in the real world here, where today we actually had a next generation test with the Cup Stars earlier at this racetrack here. I don't know, Rashaf, if you were able to tune in and see a little bit of that.
Wasn't able to tune in. Grabbed a couple of videos of it on Twitter, but yeah, looked pretty interesting. Saw a couple of spins going on, especially off of turn number 4. But yeah, I'm curious. You probably got a little bit more time to take a look and actually analyze what was going on. So would love to hear your takes.
Well, it was definitely they increased the horsepower here tonight. There in the real world, actually, to about 670 horsepower for these next-gen cars. Still a lot to be learned as pack racing here, but this is kind of reminds me of what we kind of saw there, or actually earlier today. So I guess this iRacing thing, as much say, they isn't that far off of what we saw in real life. Currently, Jared Rexing seems to be the master of it. Ryan Blaney was able to have the top lap time of today, followed by Ross Chastain and Kurt Busch for Trackhouse Racing and 26 or 23 XI. My goodness. 26. My bad. But it's interesting, and you mentioned there, turn 4 was a trouble spot, both for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick actually clipped those yellow barriers that we have in front of the pit wall there on pit road. It was a very dramatic crash there today, but he was able to walk away unscathed, not hurt the car, not so much.
Ooh, unfortunate there, and that's, yeah, especially with the higher price, I think, of these next-gen cars, at least up front. So interesting to note there in terms of especially testing time and all these guys getting them out on track. But good that we're getting miles underneath them, you know, because right now it's mostly been in the virtual world, hasn't it? But looking forward to seeing how those packages fare out, and as well as how they end up relating here to the iRacing world, because that, you know, what they decide on for packages for next season, as that's still being decided, is directly going to affect the way this car races for us, you know, in 2022A.
And that season will be coming up quick with the Clash at Martinsville next season there, end of January. You won't want to miss out. But before we get there, we got to crown a couple of champions here. Throughout all of next week, we'll be crowning champions in each one of these series on Elite. So a lot of stuff to be mindful of. Hopefully you'll be watching it all on the Elite Racing Network on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Up front, though. Oh, go ahead there. Sorry.
I was just going to say that'll be our holiday gift to you guys, is championship races galore, starting with this Friday night in the IndyCar Series. I can't wait to watch that one. 5 points separating the top 2 drivers in the championship there. There's no chase or anything. That's just all season points between Alexander Van de Sant and Henry Bennett. And yes, that's the same Alexander Van de Sant right now, who's in contention right now for a Cup Series championship in this number 97 car. So he could potentially be going for 2 championships in a week. But first things first, he has to get into that Final Four, at least here in the Cup Series, as he runs way high there in turns 3 and 4. That's going to hurt his momentum, though, coming off the corner.
The Tyler Reddick line, and it did not figure out for him earlier today. Hopefully the 97 car won't have the same result, but quite the drive out of that man there all season long to be in championship form, both on the Cup side and the IndyCar side. That's an amazing talent there virtually, and so we hope him the best for that IndyCar start earlier on Friday.
Absolutely. We'll can't wait again. Can't wait to see how that goes. But right now he's kind of in the thick of it. 10th place right now, starting to roll forward though. He's moving past now Josh Adams. Got a bit of a run potentially on another title rival here, 20 car of Chris Wright. But he's also got Gerald Campbell right in front of him. You can see they're staying reasonably ahead of that kind of second pack there. Once again, Tyler Fode now closed in a little bit, about 9/10 of a second behind Josh Clark. So 2/10 overall closed in to that lead pack, but still not the pace that they might be hoping for, unless that is, of course, that the 40 car and 38 right here, teammates are just trying to run their own pace, and right now they're just controlling the second pack. But I'm not too sure if that's the case. Meanwhile, Frankenfield up into second, and he's now going to start challenging Jared Rexing for the lead. We could have a 3-way fight on our hands. We certainly know Frankenfield's not going to be afraid to make a move, and here he goes, looking to the inside, and 3, not close enough. Yeah,
these guys have been fighting side by side all season long.
Whoa, Frankenfield!
Frankenfield! Matthew Weeks gets caught up into it. Jared Campbell with a piece of the action, and our first caution flag of the night comes out. Wow, more contact. Harrison Talon can't avoid him. And I believe Michael Hossack also got a piece of it. There's still cars spinning on the front stretch. This accident began at the front of the field with Chad Frankenfield. Oh, Rusty Capel, that has been the story of the last round and a half for the 9 car. The cars continue to pile in, and yep, that was Harrison Talon and the 24 that got together, and then Rusty Capel there late in this one, but this began up front, Rashav.
Yeah, look to the left of your screen. You see there the 90 car. Man, that's a tough one to call. I want to head back to this, actually, and let's see if we can slow it down.
I don't know why the 15 just had a sudden loss of momentum right there. He stops. I know we slowed it down, but he comes to a stop, and the 90 car gets into him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 90 just expected him to be going faster. Chad Frankenfield kind of self-corrects almost there, but it ends up being Matthew Weeks gets the brunt of that and gets spun around there with the 64 right there, like just a perfect pinch for the 11 and for Matthew Weeks.
This is disastrous. This will be the end of his championship hopes here tonight, unless something dramatically happens to the rest of the field. But that car, he just gets hit again. There's a number of cars that actually,
we had Michael
have an issue here.
Michael Hossack was involved in that. A couple of other guys. Harrison Talon went off track there. That was
the 9 car was a very late addition to that wreck there.
Yeah, Rusty Capel there too. Everyone on pit road here though, as actually Chad Frankenfield, Nick Massey, and Vincent Isabella all make the call to stay out. So Scott Crump will actually lead the field off of pit road ahead of Jared Rexing, Alexander Vandesant, and Josh Adams. So Crump extremely fast on and off of pit road by about 3 seconds. That's curious. Actually, it was Rexing who had a slow stop. That's it.
Chad Frankenfield will add a point to his column there. He'll lead, but I definitely believe he will be going down pit road. There is some serious damage to the left side of that Ford Mustang there.
Call from Chad Frankenfield, at least over the radio, he's saying he's killed. So I mean, he'll certainly keep trying to roll around, but this could be day over for Chad Frankenfield as well as he stays out again here. Apparently, he's getting the call that pit road is closed for him. So I'm kind of confused as to what's going on there for the 15 car, but could be technical glitches to add to whatever the physical woes are to his car as well. So really just not a great situation there.
No, not at all. And we're still at a loss kind of to figure out kind of what happened right there. Just such a dramatic break in momentum right there in the middle of the corner. I do not fault that on the 90 car, and I'd like to get more insight on what happened to the 15 over the radio, but I do not put that on Scott Crump there. I mean, the guy in front of you kind of just suddenly loses 10 miles an hour. Where are you to go? He was on the bottom of the racetrack. He had nowhere to go.
Absolutely, yeah. That's an interesting crash. I don't know. I missed it a little bit because we were just talking. I didn't actually end up hearing if anybody got an EOL. If there was, I mean, it doesn't clearly look like it since both Chad Frankenfield and Scott Crump are running right at the top. So my guess is that the call on that was a racing deal, and they're going to let these guys race it out and be warned because Chad Frankenfield, with a very damaged car, is starting right there in front of Scott Crump. So we could potentially see some retaliation here from the 15 car. We'll find out.
All right, so we are going to go green. Again, the 11 car, Matthew Weeks, a championship contender there involved in that. He's been able to restart there to the tail end of the field, but we'll see just how much damage is done to that 11 car as the field has been given the go-ahead by the 15, and he takes off. Newer tires are on the 90 and the 10, though.
Yeah, they've got newer tires and a much cleaner car, so that's an interesting call from Frankenfield, even with him going on the radio saying it's killed. He's just out here running laps in front of the field. This could be interesting. I don't know what this call is from the 15 is. Wow, the 12 car, heavy defense there on the 90, and he's going to keep him off of the bottom of the racetrack. No, now the 90 is going to get back in there, and the 15 blinks just in front. That could have been very close. The 12 cars around. The 10 cars in it.
Rexing! 12 gathers it up, Rexing losing a ton of spots, but we stay green on the front stretch as the field manages to somehow get by the drama between the 10 and the 12.
Rexing now, look at that. There's damage on the front end of that 10 car, of course, from all of that happened. And man, that's awful for that 10 car who was leading before these cautions came out here. And now it's Josh Adams up front, Scott Crump, Alexander Vanasant in third place as Frankenfield now starts his free fall through the field. There goes Chris Wright. Now here comes Andrew Rucker. It's going to be very quick here. That 15 car now getting dirty air, old tires, damaged aerodynamics on that car. It's going to be a long day for Chad Frankenfield. But it's also going to be a long day for Matthew Weeks towards the back here, down in 24th position, running with Vincent Isabella, who is just turned around, and these guys are already 2 seconds behind the rest of the pack.
So with Joshua Adams already in, this shifts the cut line once again to Scott Crump's favor. Right now, he's in front of the 10 of Jared Rexing, with lost a number of spots there. If Scott Crump can get past that 95 car, though, he will solidly put himself in, and that moves the cutoff line back to Chris Wright, which is 15 spots ahead of 5th place in points, which would be Jared Rexing in that 10 car.
Absolutely, yeah. So right now, if you're Chris Wright, honestly, if you're Chris Wright, you're fairly cool with Josh Adams winning this one, because that means right now you're the last car to make it in, or actually, no, that doesn't affect anything in the chase picture.
Yeah.
It actually prevents anybody from winning in, because Josh Adams not in that chase picture. So this is a perfect situation for someone who's already in, like Chris Wright, and who's in a pretty comfortable situation. But if you're Scott Crump, if you're Alexander Vanasant, you want to be in a win-and-in position. You want to be a little bit more comfortable than just relying on the guys behind you to finish below. So we'll see how aggressive these guys run here. Lap 31 of 134. Still a long, long way to go in this race. But you can see Scott Crump once again aggressive and hanging on right now to the rear bumper of that 95 car. We'll see, though, if he's able to make a move. He wasn't with Jared Rexing. We'll see if he has better luck with Josh Adams.
And you can see right now about a 5-car breakaway at the front of the field. The next in line is Johnny Thomas for Belly Up Racing there. His teammate leading in that 95 car, the Daytona 500 champion, in the 6th position there, followed by Todd Fody and Chad Thornquist there. Trey Holmes doing a great job in 9th place, and Joshua Clark rounding out your top 10. But if I'm Scott Crump up here, I am very much aware of the scenario that is playing out, and that has allowed me, even with him not leading this race, he is still inside due to the issues of the 10 and the 15. He is inside that championship grid picture. There's no reason to force the issue quite yet right now.
Yeah, not yet. You just kind of have to hang on right now. Do whatever you can, honestly. Just I'm trying to see, where is this 15? He's down in 23rd. Chad Frankenfield down in 23rd. Weeks still in 25th. Much further back there, you can kind of see that 11 car way off the pace. Though honestly, Frankenfield not much better. Actually, I think Frankenfield might be slower than Matthew Weeks that last time around. Not sure if there was some situation that led to that, but man, both of those guys could just be saying goodbye to their championship hope. Nick Massey, we kind of didn't talk about him. He's just rolling around. He obviously can afford to do just that. But yeah, for Weeks and Frankenfield, it's going to be a long night. They're going to need a lot of luck in their favor to potentially grab any kind of hope at making this Final Four.
And out of, those folks right there, you really do feel for the 11 car, Matthew Weeks. He's just a victim, being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
For sure. But this battle here has tightened up really quickly, hasn't it? We've now got 5 cars right next to each other. It feels like Josh Adam maybe a little bit of a plug in this lead battle, though, to be fair. Those 5 cars have been easily stretching themselves ahead of 6th place Johnny Thomas. So really, this lead pack, these guys are really going at it, but all so close together, all within a car length of a half of each other. And putting on some great racing for us right now. We'll see if guys are able to make a move right now, or if you're kind of stuck in the draft.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I think the 90 car, you're right, he might be a little bit faster, but at this stage, as I just mentioned before, I don't see the point in perhaps just trying to push it there. Any type of movement up front, it will slow down the energy in that pack, and it'll allow that second pack, even though they're distant about, I would say, 20 car lengths between 5th and 6th place. But it will still slow those guys down. These guys just need to have a good run there, that 97 car. Let's watch out for him, because he might be the X factor here. And if I'm the 20 car, I might even put that that 64 car in between me and those guys, because I don't want any part of it that could damage my shot of making it into the championship floor.
I was gonna say, you want a way to move up the field. You might as well put that 64 car right in front of you, because he'll make moves. Even if there might not be a space on the racetrack to do it, he'll go for it. That's kind of Andrew Rucker. That's the way he races, and it works sometimes. It doesn't work other times. But again, if you're Chris Wright, you want someone right now who's willing to push the issue and at least if not work on Scott Crump and Alexander Van Asant, potentially just force them into a mistake by putting pressure on them all night. But right now, it seems like Chris Wright's doing a good job at least of holding on to the pressure here on these top three drivers. We'll see, though, how this continues to play out and how this run plays out here. We're coming off of that caution here, but let's take a look where we are on this. 15 laps into this stint. Typically around Charlotte, what would you say, 45 to 50 laps?
To make it on, I believe, they can make it around 55 laps or so.
Okay. So that's kind of the number we'll keep an eye on.
Yeah.
So still a long way to go here. These guys really still in very early stages. We don't know exactly what these tires are going to feel like now as we continue to go lap after lap. Obviously, about 23, 24 laps done on that last set. So we'll start reaching that point fairly soon, and then we're going to start getting into unknown territory in terms of long runs. And that's where we could start seeing maybe a little bit more variety in terms of the lines these guys are taking, because right now the entire field kind of wrapping around this bottom lane.
See, they're going to have some lap traffic to deal with, though, here. Let's see how they attack it. Lap traffic has always been a hold-your-breath moment here in this series. I don't know.
Oh!
As I quickly hold my breath right here. Oh, my God.
Man, oh, man, that was close there. That was Vincent Isabella there in the number 12 car, filling in for David Westergreen, making it close there with Scott Crump. And I mean, I could potentially see why. He was, I think, the one who was turned by Scott Crump that led him to running a lap down right now. So Scott Crump already maybe a couple of enemies on the racetrack. Chad Frankenfield, Vincent Isabella probably doesn't want many more, especially as he's trying to go for a win or trying to make points as much as possible. Ooh, we got a car just locking up there to hit pit road. Not too sure who that was. That might have been Mark Rabilas. Yeah. Down in 30th position here, but Crump a little bit higher there on entry, but still, once again, there you see mid-corner and all the way throughout this lead group, at least everyone's stuck on the same line. This second group, though, they're starting to fan out a little bit, and we're starting to see some good racing, though, mostly possibly because they're just having to go high, avoid the lapped car here of Vincent Isabella, who, again, damage on that 12 car means he's running at a slower pace than I think he'd like to be running here. But let's see if these guys maybe get back into a bit of a more racy mood, or if they're going to get back into single file.
And the person that hopes to use more of that racer mood would be that 10 car. You see him just trailing the end of this second pack right there. Jared Rexing, our pole setter. Don't know exactly how much damage he might have received there with the contact he had with the 12 car there, but thankfully it really allowed him to carry on. We could have had a bigger issue, and his championship hopes could have gone up in smoke right there as well in turn 4.
It could have been a lot worse. I think the problem for the 10 car right now that we might be seeing is this could be a track position race. With just how difficult right now it looks like it is to overtake, it's a lot more difficult than I was expecting. Wholeheartedly, I thought this race was going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of swapping positions, a lot of big runs from drivers and kind of making adjustments there. But right now we're seeing this is single file. And for Jared Rexing, he had it all. He had that track position where he could defend, he could drive and pace the field how he wanted to. And right now he's lost that, running down in 15th position. The biggest disadvantage that Jared Rexing had from that wasn't necessarily damage to that car, because right now he's running respectable lap times in this pack, but he's lost that chance to continue leading this race. He's lost that track position. That seems to be very, very important here tonight.
And let's go back to why he lost that track position there. It was on pit road. That's a place where we have seen that 10 car lose some spots, unfortunately. You go back to the issue he had at Dover there, perhaps throwing one away there. And now, a mistake allowed that 90 car to get ahead of him. It put him on the top lane, which is where he found trouble. You have to wonder, these little decisions, they seem innocent enough there, but they can make a big impact on your race, and that's exactly what's played out for that 10 car.
Absolutely, yeah. It's, that's kind of where the whole domino started to fall, because, he was out of place. He was, he could have been in a better spot, like you mentioned. It's interesting, right? My guess is he overshot the box based on the time that running for about 3 seconds longer in pit lane. He was probably overshot his box a little bit, and that allowed Scott Crump to kind of get on by there. But yeah, no, I mean you've got to minimize those mistakes because they do
on a night
snowball.
like tonight. You cannot have that mistake. Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. So
imagine that happening to Kyle Larson. He doesn't win the championship. If you see contact, they bounce off one another and one through the roll. That's Tate Lytle with a wild ride through the infield.
Yeah, he's pretty grateful that it's turf right there instead of grass that you might have, though I don't know if iRacing really eats out the splitters from hitting the grass. But yeah, Tate Lytle, they were 3 wide there off of turn number 4. He had to take avoiding action because they were loose. I think it was Colin Bowden and Johnny Thomas, I believe, that were all 3 wide. Here we go, Colin Bowden, who doesn't normally race with us, working his way back up the order. Started end of line because he didn't have the correct banner. He's now working on Johnny Thomas in this second pack. But some good racing going on back here. You look at that kind of third pack now as they've kind of separated a little bit. Jared Rexing, Josh Clark. Rexing probably wants to become the leader of this next pack and maybe try and rejoin those guys up ahead, but he's got some work to do here. But up into 11th after all of that chaos, so that worked out pretty well for the 10 car.
Yeah, well, he probably is not happy about that move in that 56 car, but thankfully he wouldn't be as upset as he would be if he were in this championship fight currently, considering with his win at Dover there, he can kind of not laugh it off, but shrug it off, and he'll live to fight another day. Hopefully one where we'll see him in victory lane perhaps next week. Up front, you're not seeing much, though. They have been single file, led by the 95, but pit stops perhaps going to be in the mix here soon enough. But as things have quieted down, how about we take a break? We'll be back with all the action right here. Don't go anywhere. We just got to pay the bills. We'll be right back.
As always, here at the Elite Racing Network, we want to thank our premier sponsors. Let's start that out with Response Energy. Get the response you've been looking for in an energy drink, available at Targets, especially in the southern United States. Check them out. They're a great sponsor coming on board with us. Also proud sponsor there of the 25 car of Jacob Adams. I want to thank C2 Freight Resources as well. They've been on board here with the Elite Racing Leagues for a long time. Came on board about the same time as Jeff Green did, and so no surprise that they're a sponsor on his virtual race car as well as his real-life race car for all of your shipping and freight needs. Check out C2 Freight Resources. Once again, another incredible partner here of the Elite Racing Network, and they continue to partner us into 2022. So exciting to extend that partnership there as well. And finally, Blue Egg Marketing came on board this season, standard sponsor for Tyler Fody in that number 40 car. Right now, Tyler running in the 8th position in that blue and black Blue Egg Marketing racing car. Blue Egg Marketing, though, the marketing department for small businesses. So for all of you small business owners, I'm sure many of you are watching here. Elite Racing Leagues itself, a small business run by Chad Frankenfield, running in that 15 car. But they will be your marketing department. They'll help your business punch well above its weight class and compete there in whatever industry you are in. So check out Blue Egg Marketing, another great premier sponsor here. And of course, how about Jonathan Byrd and Byrd Racing, IndyCar team? They're also racing all sorts of other types of racing, as we do have a caution on the racetrack. But there you see Vincent Isabella spun on the start-finish. We'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, Byrd Racing, great sponsor. They've been supporting us through various guises all season long, giving us all of the sponsorships in this second round of the Elite Chase as we decide our championship for. Caution out on the racetrack, though, Alex. Vincent Isabella looks to be the cause of this one, spun around on the front straightaway.
Yes, and this is going to shake things up here as far as gathering the field together and allow some of our drivers who desperately needed a caution as wow. So he does the Tyler Reddick as well.
Yeah, I just slow down there, trying to make pit road, locks up the brakes, and that's still officially on the racing line. So that'll That'll cause that here, and he tries to make that apex, but obviously these cars are not in their road course trim, so spins it around just a little bit there, and yeah, unfortunately there for Vincent Isabella, a bad day gets worse. Meanwhile, here we are on pit road. Josh Adams leads the entire field down.
Yeah, right now you need not to have a mistake. We talk about getting in, hitting your marks. No one needs to have to back up here, because it could cost you crucial time, not only on the racetrack there, but also in the event of having to pick a lane. Maybe you don't want to be in the lane that you are in once we restart here. So we'll figure out how that plays out as the 95 car, the control car that was in here, gets back going. But I think he's going to get beat by pit road, and yes, I believe that is Scott Crump and Alexander Van de Sant just ahead with the Van de Sant in the 97 car. Getting the lead on pit road. How about that?
Alexander Van de Sant.
Picture changes again.
That's an exceptional pit stop there from Alexander Van de Sant. Pretty quick there. Extremely quick. Actually, no, not even that crazy on stationary pit road time. The slowest of the three of them, but just really good in and out of the box for Van de Sant, and that vaults him up into the lead there. We're talking about 0.3 of a second the difference between these guys. So huge credit there to the 97 car. He's going to take over that lead position. He should restart from the front. All of these guys in front of him are lap down cars. So this, yeah, like you said, changes up the championship picture big time, because Van de Sant right now, if things were to finish the way they are, would be locked in. And that's big for this 97 car right now, because he's got track position. He's got that kind of control of the rest of the field here. This could be big here on this next stint.
Yeah, so your lap cars there that will probably take the wave around here. You see the 9 and the 48. Nick Massey just kind of humming along here today. He's really taken the day off. Not in championship form, but hey, he's earned it with his win last week in Nashville there. So we'll see what he has to bring to the table in 1 week time. But yeah, the 97 car, by virtue of that pit stop there, he will be the control car. And with it, he also led a point. If anything crazy happens later on in this race, which it typically does, that at least could go into his corner there. As they run, it would be Tate Lytle, Nick Massey already locked in with the win. It would still be Alexander Van de Sant, and then Chris Wright, 15 spots ahead of Chad, Scott, Matthew, and Jared Rexing, who would fall out.
Yep, absolutely. So that'd be an interesting Final Four right there. You'd have 3 first-time entries if it were to finish the way it is, with Van de Sant, Chris Wright, Nick Massey, and then Tate Lytle, the kind of old hand at it. But Tate Lytle's never won a Cup Series championship before, so you'd have 4 guys all with the opportunity to win their first ever Cup Series title. That'd be an extremely interesting thing to observe. And I think even then, looking at, if we go to what our point situation is heading into this race, we only have Chad Frankenfield, I believe Chad Frankenfield's the only driver here who's a previous Cup Series champion anyways. And with the way this this race is playing out, it looks right now that he won't be one of those Final Four drivers. So we could absolutely be guaranteed a brand new champion come next week.
That would be quite the show. Speaking of the show here, we're going to restart there with 64, or excuse me, I believe 74. I can't do math. Laps to go. But I mentioned that because this is still outside of our pit window. They'll still need to make at least one more stop. But it does bring us closer to the option of, on that last stop, do you take fuel? Do you take 2 tires? What will these guys decide, and when will they decide to pit? And are we done seeing the yellow flag? All those questions are always on the minds of these drivers.
Yeah, strategy is definitely going to be a major consideration here. We're not even at halfway point yet. We're just really approaching it now. So a long way to go in this race, and we haven't had a really long green flag run either. Both of our green flag runs have kind of been about the same length there, about 25 to 30 laps. So we haven't gotten a chance to really see who has long run pace. It could be a short run type race as well. So we'll kind of have to see just how aggressive guys continue to be. Maybe we had that kind of single file stage of the race here, but we're getting back to green flag racing, and Van de Sant again back up to speed early. We'll see if Crump's able to clear. He is. So it'll be Van de Sant and Crump leading the way, and it'll be Rucker versus Adams, though, going for P3.
Full of non-chasers there in that third and fourth position there before Chris Wright, who is just trying to have an okay day. Doesn't need a good day, doesn't need a great day there, just wants to survive. And so far, he's been able to do that inside the top 5. So we have the battle for the lead. Scott Crump looking for it for the first time today. And with it, can he change the championship picture? He will. With that lead, he'll get a bonus point added to his column. And with it, he is now the top seed in those that are on the outside looking in for a championship.
Absolutely, he is. So that's not great there for Van de Sant to give up the lead so early. That's something that you need to control, at least on these restarts. Scott Crump right now takes over, and that's big news for that 90 car, because he was looking fast earlier, but he was behind cars. So now being that fast car, now having control of this race, that could be detrimental for Scott Crump's title rivals, as Van de Sant already trying to see if he can find a way past, but looking like he's struggling just to get rolling here with these new tires.
Yeah, backed up that corner just a little bit, fell into the clutches of the 95, who I believe actually had to roll out of the throttle to avoid hitting him in the center of the corner there. You can see Adams there in that 95, though. Wow, Rucker almost snipping the wall on exit. Van de Sant has seemingly been able to gather it back up there, and he now gives chase to that 90 car. I don't think it's over, though, just yet, as long as you keep him in your clutches. But that 90 car has been fast, if not the fastest car inside the top 5 most of the day. Now he's been able to have the lead there, and a block made by the 97 car. Able to keep the 95 at bay, or will he? No.
Don't think so. Yeah, he was just too high there entering, as he's a little bit too high exiting as well. The 97 now is going to have to suffer from the side draft coming from the 64 car, and he's going to continue to fall back. It's now Josh Adams and Andrew Rucker running inside the top 3. For Alexander Van de Sant, right now he's just struggling to get grip. He's just struggling to find momentum here, as Chris Wright also trying to find his way by.
Wow, and I'm telling you, Adams has a fast car here tonight. Don't know if we've given him much credit there. He was the leader before that pit stop happened and that yellow flag came out, but Adams has a hot rod in that Chevy Camaro. I don't think he's content to just ride along in second. Meanwhile, Rucker underneath the 97 car, who really needs to minimize the bleeding and the losing of spots here on the outside of turn 2.
Absolutely, yeah. So just needs to settle into a groove right now. Running maybe just a lane too high for Alexander Van de Sant. It's working, getting him a run down down the straightaways, but you can see here he's not taking advantage of any kind of side draft. To be fair, he wasn't quite in position to do so that time around. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Van de Sant can do if he can just stop this free fall and kind of start working back some forward momentum. Meanwhile, Tyler Fode back in the mix here, Jacob Adams up in the mix here, Colin Bowden, Chad Thornquist, even Tate Lytle still there in P11.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Adams slicing to the bottom of the racetrack to take the lead in turn 3. Adams back to the point with an aggressive move down the backstretch there. Puts Crump back into the second position. Still no change as far as that championship picture. But the cut line has been dramatically moved up, and now Alexander Van de Sant has to finish ahead of that 90 car in order to make it to Homestead.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's just how quickly things can change here. So Scott Crump looking to the inside, going to go for a move, but then quickly ducks back out of it. We'll see how that hurts his momentum, and this chase picture is going to change, 50 more times tonight, let me tell you. So, at this point, we just get to enjoy the racing and what these guys are going for. Crump looking to the outside. We haven't seen anybody really make a move stick on the outside, but he's trying for it and is able to maintain his position there with some support from Andrew Rucker on the outside. Rucker decides to support him again here, and there you go. So that's going to give Scott Crump the lead back heading into turn number 3.
Yeah, now Crump has put 3 drivers, make it 4 in front of him, make it 5 drivers, all not inside the playoff standings there. So that is good news for that 90 car, as he retakes the lead there after that side-by-side battle worked in his favor, taking the longer way around. Look at Jacob Adams, though, in that 25 car. Has to be replaying last week in his mind there a little bit as he gets almost into the side of Andrew Rucker. That 25 car had a hot rod at Nashville. He is on the brink of earning his first ever win. Could it come today?
Yeah, it very well could. It's yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is just close racing right now. We can just see how much more aggressive guys have gotten and how much more opportunity is being taken versus that last run. That last time around, everybody was just sitting single file and running close with each other, but really no attacking moves were being made. Right now, guys are aggressive as heck going through these corners and just really trying to make moves, diving their nose to the inside, trying to get a feel for what this racetrack, has in terms of grip. So just as we approach that halfway mark and just as we passed it, this aggression is very quickly ramped up as Scott Crump now starts to fall.
Wow, they are 3 wide mid-pack. That, SDW likes to refer to it as the eye of the storm. Yellow flag number 3 is out. Just before things perhaps got too aggressive up front, we'll slow the pace down again. This is still outside of the window, I believe. And if not, they're going to be very marginal to make it. We'll see if anybody can perhaps stretch it as we fall under caution here once again.
Yeah, this one could be close here. I'm seeing Scott Haney potentially involved in that one, but this wreck might have happened before here. These are guys slowing down. It was before these guys.
Green.
Wow. So Jeff Green was the slow car out on the racetrack, but Scott Haney just failed to stop in time. Ooh.
Yep. Green gets loose there. Chad's able to see that, but gets run into from behind by the 3 car, who then gets plowed into by the 23, and it was on from there.
That was really interesting there, the incident with Jeff Green. Let's take another look at that. So there goes the 28 to the inside, yeah, it was a high entry from the 28. Racing deal. That was a call from race control, and I agree with that. It was the Scott Haney thing that was really crazy. So Jeff Green brought up that incident, but you saw that there. Scott Haney just did not slow down for that incident at all. It all happens right there. Chad Frankenfield does a really good job to avoid that, and Haney just...
Well, yeah. If you go back and run that replay again, I'm not so sure that Haney, he did look like he slowed down, but then Frankenfield had to move up the racetrack to avoid the 38 car, and that put him in the path of the 3 car. Take a look. He makes that move right there.
Yep.
And that is what set that 3 car wide.
Yeah, good catch there, yeah. So it's just, I think just bad communication by these guys out on the racetrack. That's something you've got to start doing. Guys do this all the time, especially at super speedways, and start doing this at regular racetracks as well. Is when you see a wreck, just you get onto the radio as soon as possible, and you just say hi, 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 or low, low, low. Just let somebody know where that slow car is, so you know where to go on the racetrack to avoid it for those guys out back. But yeah, unfortunate there for Scott Haney. More damage probably to the back of that 15 car for Chad Frankenfield, so not what he needed for his night. Currently running again 21st, first car on the last car on the lead lap there. So it's still going to be a long night there for the 15.
All right, so we have some shuffling up front there. Looked like Chris Wright stayed out to lead a lap. Jared Rexing is back up to the point.
How about that? But he didn't pit this time around. Okay, but now everybody behind him has come down pit road.
Yeah, so Chris Wright's actually going to lose a number of spots right here, and this kind of puts him where he only came in 15 points ahead of the cut line there. So he's going to restart there, I believe, outside of the top 15. Yes, he's free-falling through the field as I speak. And now running along in the 21st position. He'll be able to gain some spots back, but that does put him in a little bit of a hole, and that would change that cut line there. We don't have live points, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is really interesting the way this is playing out. So Rexing staying out, though, is such an interesting call here. 20-lap older tires than the guys behind him. We saw it didn't quite work out, though. Chad Frankenfield was also damaged. Was
it 20 laps older, or we had just gone into green from that last restart? How many laps did we run? We didn't run 20 laps before then, did we?
17 laps.
Wow.
Yeah, 17 laps versus fresh tires. Yeah, so they're certainly not fresh tires. They've certainly lost their fresh sheen of of rubber on the very top, and Rexing actually going to dive into pit road here. So interesting call there. Gets a lap lead point.
But he already had that.
He already had that. No, he's going to stay out again.
He's staying out. He was just low on the racetrack there. But, yeah,
Mm.
we'll see. It did not work out for the 15 car. However, the 15 had major damage when that happened. We'll see if it plays better in his factor there. But I feel like we're beginning to see a little bit of desperate mode settle in on this field here. Guys are trying to make up spots, everything they can. That checkered flag is going to fall closer than what I think people realize there. And so 10 car just trying to be above it. We often talk about this being a track position racetrack, and I see once again low on the racetrack. The one thing, though, he's banking on another caution coming out, I guarantee it, because he will have to indeed come down pit road. He cannot make it on field. The rest of the field, though, and I'm not so sure how many laps to go. I can't do quick math. Larry, where's the quick calculator? I believe these guys are marginal. Let me ask Google real quick.
You said 60 laps? Because I think they're right there. Yeah.
59. So I think if this were to go green, these guys should theoretically be able to make it on fuel.
Whew. This one could be close if they go green to the end here. Rexing, though, definitely not safe.
Yes, definitely not. So he is banking on a yellow flag coming back up. Hopefully he will not be the yellow flag. Chris Wright in the back of the pack there, starting in, I believe, I didn't even see him right there on my field. That's something also that we need to keep an eye on there. Further right, he's in 22nd position there. That has moved up the cut line dramatically. Rexing in control of this restart. Rucker and Joshua Adams right behind him as we fall back under green with 58 laps remaining here at Charlotte.
Yeah, so Rexing with a good restart there, but that's expected. The question is now, how quickly does the rest of the field come back to him? And it looks like it's very quickly. Look at the pace here of these guys. This is craziness. This is full-on super speedway racing on this particular restart here. Is Andrew Rucker, that was never going to work. That was never going to work by the 64 car. Big crash.
Gerald Campbell up in the air, 20 feet, sailing into the catch fence. And yes, a slower car in front of the field. This is what is often the result. And I mean, we have multiple cars involved. The 64 Andrew Rucker. I saw Gerald Campbell take a hellacious shot to the outside wall. I think Tate Lytle was a piece of this.
There was just never a gap there for Andrew Rucker to slide up into. There was Johnny Thomas involved in that. Let's go watch Gerald Campbell here because he took the biggest hit of anybody. It all happens right beyond him, so he at this point is just a pure passenger. You see there that move by Rucker, and now, it's a side swipe actually from the 92, and it's just hard straight into the outside wall.
There's
who else?
24 once again, and I mean, he hits that right there at the tribal where that part of the wall kind of anchors out there. That's automatic. I believe he's done for the day there. That was a...
I'm going to question the call from race control is no EOLs. Let's go back and look at that because I'm questioning that decision there.
I want to see the 91. Keep an eye on him, Johnny Thomas. Yeah, that is a hard one. It just looks like the 64 and him get together there.
Let's see if we can grab an onboard of the 91. That'd be really interesting to me to view. And there's just big damage there to that 91 of Johnny Thomas. Let's see what we can find in terms of what happened here, because it looked from the camera angles I could see, it felt like that was the 64 coming up onto the 91 here, but let's take a look and see if we can grab the cockpit camera. All right, here we go. Onboard Johnny Thomas.
What really stacks up this field is that 10 car on the bottom there. That's tough. That is a tough thing to call.
Yeah,
when it's not clear and defined there, I guess, and I don't know what race control is like. I honestly don't know. When it's not clear and defined, I guess you kind of would err on the side of perhaps that is just a racing deal.
I think my assumption with where race control took that from is, and that's an interesting case, like you said, it's a little bit more gray than it looked. There was technically a car shaped gap there. The problem is that Rucker was traveling at a slower speed, that there was inevitably going to be a crash, in my eyes. But you can make the argument that he was given the clear by his spotter to go up in there because there was a car-shaped gap there. So that's I think probably where the gray area was, and that's why they decided to just allow that to be a racing deal. I think if I was up in race control, I probably wouldn't have been so kind. I probably would have seen that as you need to expect the difference in pace, and you need to preempt that and actually think about that. But I know these guys race a lot more aggressively than I do, so we have very different opinions on what moves fly and what don't. I think half of the racing deals we see here on the racetrack, I'd be calling penalties for, I think, if I was up in race control, so maybe I shouldn't be up there.
Well, we're glad you're here with us in the booth there, at least.
Yeah, this is probably a better spot for me.
You hear that, Rucker? You've been eyed. But I'll tell you, the guy that probably was holding his breath through that entire crash, and I don't know if it's possible to even go back and take a look, probably would be that 20 car, Chris Wright. I'd like to see how his sight was of that all unfolding in front of him, because that's the worst case scenario for him. You're starting deep in the field, no track position, and then a crash at the front of the field breaks out. He got out that unscathed. He's running along in the 9th position, but he dodged one right there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that caution, a big break for Jared Rexing, who will now go down and get service on that 10 machine. See if he can make up some lost ground as well. Chad Frankenfield is down, but not out. He's running along in the 12th position there. But this field is definitely dwindling. A driver that did not survive that as well as Gerald Campbell would be Tate Lytle. He has now fallen outside of the top 20. He's in the 21st position there. Thankfully, has that win 2 weeks ago, because the last 2 weeks have not gone in his favor.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was just how that first round of the chase kind of play out. Tate Lytle won the first race and then had awful luck in the second two. Same thing again here this time around. So, I mean, if history is to repeat itself, then he'll have great luck next week, and I'm sure he'll and win next week. But I'm sure he's pretty okay with that if that means losing out on these two races here.
The working lap 80 of 134 with Chris Wright back into the top 10. That solidifies his position there. It's not the plus 15 that we had when he came in there, but still he's able to remedy. We believe he's safe. If he finishes inside the top 10, he is safe, so we'll know that. But Scott Crump, I believe, still has control of that final spot, and he's working the outside of Joshua Adams, who is the control car on this restart. Everyone back on even footing here. Hopefully a much cleaner and green restart this time around. Joshua Adams back on the loud pedal there. Both he and the 90 still side by side before they get single file. Yes, he'll work to the bottom of the racetrack there. His brother right behind him, Jacob Adams, trying to make this a family affair up front.
Absolutely, and looks like we mentioned it, that Tate Lytle had that great race in round one, didn't have two great races following that, had a great race here in round two, didn't have two great races following it, and following what he did last round, Tate Lytle's back up in the booth with us. Tate, how's it going, bud?
You know, it could be going better, but could be going a lot worse. Could be not locked into next week, so very frustrating package out there. It's like you can get alongside anybody, but you can't pass anybody unless you're on the outside, so it's kind of frustrating. But interesting fight for these last couple spots in the Championship 4, though. I mean, Crump's up there, Wright, Van de Sant. I know Weeks just got his damage fixed, so he should be able to make something happen maybe toward the end of this. So there's a lot of different guys that could slot into those final two spots, and I'm as curious as anybody to see who they are. Rexing, too. Rexing's right there as well.
Right now, Chris Wright and Scott Crump in the 90 car would be your other competitors. If you see the 32 car in the sucker hole, yes, thread the needle there off the gas. Everyone get through okay, but you're right. Some of these cars that were had earlier issues, including the 10 car, Jared Rexing, another blink out of the 15. but he's been able to repair some of that damage as the yellow flag is back out. This time, number 5 of the day will slow the racing action once again.
Looks like Vincent Isabella potentially again there in the 12 car, as well as Jeff Green. Both those guys coming together. Both of them have been involved in
second incidents of the day for each of them.
Yeah, so just not great days for either of them. I don't know if you saw any of that out on the track there from your end, Tate, but neither of them just having a great night at all in terms of the way that it's been playing out here. Let's see if we can grab another side of it. It was just, probably going to be called a racing deal, my guess.
I'm going to call that EOL 12. That's kind of the trend of the 12 car, You had Damien, then you had our boy D West in there. It's kind of like they get in that 12 car and it's like, all right, well,
the
we're going to hit something super hard tonight.
Out of the booth here tonight there, folks. I hope the virtual glass is bulletproof here. I just want to say, if drivers are looking for commentators after the end of this race, it was not me. That's all I got.
No, nothing negative.
We're just casual observers.
It's like the curse of the 12 car. If you're in the 12 car, if Damien's listening, he can think whatever he wants about it. But it's like the curse of the 12 car. If you're in that 12 car, something bad's going to happen to you, and it is served true tonight with Vince. Brandon Key, I don't know if Brandon Key's listening, but I'm sure he's loving it after the week that he's had with Vincent Isabella. So
there's always beef on and off the track. We love to see it.
Drama.
Yeah,
Hello,
I'm a pot stirrer,
Welcome to the Elite Racing Network new reality TV show. New show we're going to be bringing to you guys live inside the racing action here. But Tate, you're out of this race here, but that leaves the focus on one more race here. Now, the good thing and the good news for you, as what Rashaf had just mentioned here, you've had one good race followed by 2 bad ones. The great thing for you is that spell, that pattern would work out in your favor next week with Youth Champion. How do you feel about your shot at Homestead there?
I feel just as good as any. I feel like it's going to be more of what we've seen tonight, and like Atlanta, just with a little bit more room to do it. I think with the progressive banking, you're going to have to run the outside line. I don't think the inside line is going to be real productive for you unless you're just throwing haymakers into turn 3 trying to slide some guys. But even if you do pull up in front of them, they're going to have a good run on you down the front stretch, and I don't know how it's going to work. So I think it's going to come down to track position. I'm not going to be able to do what I did tonight and kind of fall back, hoping to save some tires, and then try and work my way back up. I think I'm going to have to qualify well and just stay up there and put myself in the best spot possible. But yeah, I think this car is so unpredictable. I think you still see the same guys win. It's just it's more of a toss up going into the race. Like if you go to a Charlotte, normally you kind of know the 3 or 4 guys that are going to be up front battling for the lead. Tire saving is going to come into play, but today, it's still the top 3 or 4 guys are still up there battling for the lead. But there's some guys that you may not think of when you think of race win contenders that are going to have a chance at a track like this with this car, just because of how unpredictable it is, how big the runs are, how much the side draft affects the cars, and there's nowhere to hide. So I think that's kind of the beauty and the beast of this car, is that there is nowhere to hide. It makes for a great show for you guys, but it is quite frustrating to race, and I'm sure that will be more of the same next week at Homestead, especially with that progressive banking. The thing tonight was that the bumps in 3 and 4 on the outside were kind of tough to navigate, so that made the bottom okay down there. But still, off of 2, that run that the outside line got, you needed to clear them before you got there. So yeah, it's just a frustrating car to race. These top 2 guys that are up front, they feel pretty good because as long as they stay hooked up, it's going to be hard for anyone else to make much of a move. And you got Adams up there with his brother starting behind him and their teammate starting behind him. So if I'm the Adams brothers, I'm feeling pretty good. If I'm Crump, still feeling pretty good because of the track position I have, and especially with him needing to point his way into the Championship 4 or win his way either way. But he's needing to have a good run tonight for the Championship 4. Looks like they just got the 1 to green there, so hopefully we can go back green flag racing and get us a long run and see who's got the real speed.
All right, so Scott Crump behind Joshua Adams here, who elects to take the outside lane this time around. He will have his brother, as Tate had just mentioned there, right behind him as well. Luke, who's also been able to work his way back up into the picture there after a late decision to go down pit road. That would be the 20 of Chris Wright. Doing a great job. And Colin Bonin, we had just talked about him there. Not a usual driver or suspect here in this series here, making a rare appearance here this round and in making the most out of it inside the top 5. Dallas Myhan also doing a great job as well.
Yeah, Bowden, he's racing for, he's trying to get his world championship, his pro license for next year's Coke Series. So this is probably just a little bit of a stress release for him. Come race with us, and he gets a bad rap a lot of times. He's a great guy and obviously a great driver, and I would not be shocked in the slightest to see him get a win tonight. But come to the Geico restart zone, and we got old Josh Adams on the trigger with his brother. I don't know if they're in the same house or not, but they sure timed that restart pretty good. I don't know if they're giving hand signals or what, but they got the outside on lock, and it looks like Bowden's going to go with Crump here. They're going to leave the 25 car up at the top.
Yeah, they are, but single filed out pretty clearly through this this top group of cars here. Bowden now looking to the top lane. We'll see. Again, not a ton of success from guys on the top of the racetrack so far tonight, but he had some good pace there on the top.
Oh.
Crump tries to block him, but we saw that with Andrew Rucker. Once the guy has the run on the top side, you've got to respect that run. You can't just go up there and make that block, and you saw how that backfired on the 90 car. He loses a ton of momentum, and now Bowden all the way around on the top side, and he's now getting the run on Josh Adams. This 24 car is flying.
Yeah, that's what those guys did not want to do, is let the 24 get out to the lead, but here we are, and he's going to... I mean, I know this car sets you up for runs and passes, but you put a guy like Colin Bowden out there, and it's going to be hard to get back around him.
It took him 91 laps to do so. They're starting at the end of the field there because of a banner issue on that car, but he has taken it all the way to the point. And meanwhile, it is brewing behind him, though, for that final playoff spot. Jared Rexing has been able to finally overcome that dramatic effect of being caught up in a wreck that did not bring out the yellow there, and being slow on the last restart there. He's worked his way up inside the top 10, knocking on the top 5, and in his clutches is the 90 car he needs to beat.
Yeah, and we got Chad Frankenfield. He's worked his way back in the top 10. Last time I saw that car was quite a few laps ago, and it looked pretty destroyed. So that good for him for being able to get that car fixed. Last time I saw him, it didn't look good as the 25 dives it in there. 24 gives him a lot of room. Chris Wright's going to have a big run. Where's he going to go? He's going to actually take it to the outside. That's going to give the run to Crump. We might be 3 wide going into 1 with knowing how that 90 car's been raised. Oh, he's going to stay there, though. Push the 25 car up in front of Chris Wright once again. 25 got a big run on Bowden, but if you don't got anyone on your bumper with how little you're off the throttle, there's really, I mean, good luck getting a run, you know? So you need that extra help.
What happened to Jared Rexing there, but he lost a ton of spots as we see the 25 right on the back bumper of the 24 car. He'll swing to the inside, and he's taking a look for the lead. Can Chris Wright go with him? Oh! Thrown it into the wall in turn 1. Briefly, he gathers it up, but Jacob Adams took the lead out of that move, and he wins along
Chris Wright. Chris Wright to P2 there. That's big right there. Jacob Adams, Chris Wright. Not too sure if those guys work together at all. Don't remember exactly where those team alliances sit with all of that, but that could be huge there to have Jacob Adams. He's obviously looking for his first win of the season, not in the chase fight, but he's had such a great season here. Chris Wright, of course, looking to lock himself into the Final Four. Now Colin Bowden having to kind of deal with dirty air just a little bit. He's now under attack by Scott Crump on the bottom lane. Crump with that support of Chad Thornquist, Chad Frankenfield on that bottom lane there. Meanwhile, Bowden just trying to get some support there from the top of Josh Adams and Tyler Fode and Dallas Myhan there, but running too high there, and that's not going to allow you to get great pushes off the corner, I think, up until you get rehooked up again here, which he finally does with Josh Adams.
Those guys are side by side for third place there, as Chad Frankenfield trying to enter into the mix. I am impressed. There is no give up in that 15 car, but Scott Crump takes it to the high side as we see one car. That's Nick Massey with a big wobble to the inside there.
Frankenfield making it 3. Got the Chad, Josh, 3 wide into turn 3.
Will that work?
My God.
In the middle of Turnquest.
It does.
He keeps it in the middle.
Almost. Turnquist and Adams definitely make contact. Then Turnquist and Chad make contact. They're still there. Oh, that was netcode on the 95. Unfortunately, that definitely was netcode there.
Yeah, that was. It went better than it could, and it went quite a bit worse than it could. I feel like they.
And all that did was move that 3-wide battle from that section of the racetrack to this section here. Now he's fighting with the 41 of Dallas Myhan and the 10 of Jared Rexing.
Yeah, he's able to clear himself there, but that was. I don't know if he caught the wall or not. I don't. If he did, it wasn't too hard.
Yeah.
But that netcode's kind of scary when it pushes you up like that. There's nothing supporting you there. There's no side force. There's no nothing. The car just wants to go straight. So 95, obviously losing quite a few spots there, but lucky to still be in the race with a competitive car.
And now we have a challenge or a lead change there. That's Chris Wright. And with that, that brings that cut line once again back down to 0. Basically, who finishes in front of who would be able to point themselves into Homestead. Right now, Scott Crump has it, but Chad Frankenfield not far behind.
Yeah,
and where's the 10 of Jared Rexing and Alexander Van de Sant?
Yeah, look at Chad. Chad's one of those guys. He's not afraid to be aggressive. He's going to put it in places that you might question, but sometimes that serves him well. It may not have served him well earlier in the race. I don't know what happened to his car. I don't know how he got wrecked. But the fact that that car looks the way it does, and he's in P5 right now, pretty impressive. As the 90's giving the 25 a big shove. 24's thinking about going low. He's blocking the 15. These guys all want to go, but the problem is if you go and you go to the bottom, you're going to the back. So it's a tough game to play. And the 25 might be playing a team game here. You never know.
Well, it's interesting here, Tay. I'm curious because the 25's around.
Oh, Scott Haney in front of the field, and it's going to collect 2 of them, make it more. My goodness.
Oh.
Yeah, Adams, Bowden, and Balvans all are going to be out of the race after that one. That was
lap traffic once again playing a factor toward the end of a race, and this time it's going to take out the 25.
Looks like 2 wide going through the 3 and 4 there, and I have to get a better angle on it. I don't know if the 3 just wasn't leaving enough room for them to go underneath them.
Way too late.
Alexander Van de Sant was involved in that.
Was he? Ooh, boy.
The 97 car, you saw him just spin out just in front of this there, had to use the access road. Did he make contact with the pit wall? They come up on Scott Haney.
3 cars just not leaving enough room there, and the 90 slides up just a little bit.
Looks like
the 25. 25 did a pretty good job of almost saving that, and then
just gets loose underneath it, and then there's just a ton of cars involved there.
Yeah. Where's the 97 at?
Trying to see there, Van de Sant. He does go over the grass. Let's see if we can grab the replay here with this 97 car. See if he grabbed any damage from any of this. That'd be the big thing.
May have just touched the inside pit wall there, trying to avoid the action.
Let's take a look here.
Let's see.
97.
On the brakes. 40 car comes down into him. He slides.
Bit of a
It's hard to say with these cars, man.
I mean, Chad Frankenfield took a much worse hit, and he's doing all right here. So
well, that's what I'm saying. Is these cars, you never know. I've had some pretty not crazy hits, like at Richmond, and tonight was pretty bad. But there's been a couple hits where it wasn't too bad. I had 8 minutes, and then earlier today I completely wrecked in practice and had like 1 minute and 20 seconds. So you never really know what you're gonna get. So we'll have to pay attention.
Yeah, how about this 2-tire stop here from Josh Clark, taking over the lead of this race here. Interesting call, especially because, I mean, these guys, pretty fresh tires for some of them. Clark, yeah, just 13 laps probably on the inside tires on that car would be my assumption, and then get fresh outsides. So I'm a fan of that call there by this 28 car. It gives him track position, and theoretically should have solid tires to race with these guys if we have some short runs here to the end.
Yeah, I mean, why not? What does Josh Clark have to lose tonight? He's got nothing to lose. Might as well put yourself in a position that might work in your favor to go get yourself a win. You don't you don't want to be the guy that ruins it for one of those guys going for the championship 4 spot. But I mean, at the end of the day, Josh Clark's not out there for Chris Wright, Scott Crump, and Chad Frankenfield. Josh Clark's out there for Josh Clark. So if he sees an opportunity to go try and get a win, and he's been close to this car a couple times. I can think of Iowa, Indianapolis, a couple others where he was right there and had a chance, and it just didn't quite fall his way. So maybe tonight's the night.
Well, he doesn't want to take a look behind him because the guys that are all fighting for a championship are going to line up in his rearview mirror. Take a look at 3rd through 5th. Scott Crump, Chad Frankenfield, Jared Rexing, all those guys fighting for that playoff spot there right near or at 0.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you guys think this is the same up in the broadcast booth, but on the track, whenever I see the 90 and the 15, close together, I always think, be careful around those two. You never know, because they're two guys that they're super aggressive. They're going to give you just enough room for what they think you need, and sometimes that's not enough, especially when they're going up against one another. So, and I don't think they really like each other a ton anyway. So just keep an eye on that row, and obviously Jared Rexing and Chris Wright and Matthew Weeks is back in the top 10 as well. So they'll be there waiting for them to make a mistake, and we're still going to have 30 laps to go. I mean, it's not like if it goes green, it's not like that's going to be a short run by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll have to see how this 2-tire top plays out. I think it might be better on the short run just because it might turn a little bit better than those 4 tires. But we'll see how over the course of a run, if we get a run, that serves him. So as we came to the 1 to green there, the field's doubling up. Clark's going to take the outside, which is probably a good call. Get yourself a little bit more of a jump on this restart.
Don't believe we're done seeing the yellow flag, though, just yet there. He'll have Scott Crump right behind him, and on the inside, Chris Wright, who is still just needs to have a good day. Like we said, not a great day, not a bad day, just a good day, and he will be able to be fighting for a championship. Hey, real quickly there, if it were up to you there, Tate, who would you want to fight that championship for with? What guys are you hoping for, and what guys do you perhaps hope to be eliminated here? We'll keep it between you and me on it.
I mean, I'm pulling for Rexing because I know Rexing's going to race me how I race him. Obviously, at Weeks, he's probably a little more hurt than these other guys in 9th, but he's a teammate, so I like to see him. But I mean, the 15 and the 90 and even the 20, I know that what they're willing to do with their bumper for a race win, let alone a championship. So I'd rather see the 10 and the 11 just because I know that they're going to race me a little cleaner, but they're coming to the restart zone here. Clark, good jump. 90 with another good jump. But the 15 is going to be right on the 20's bumper, so I think that bottom line's probably going to serve well in 1 and 2 and possibly give Wright a chance at the lead going into 3 and 4 if they're able to get clear of the 90.
Yeah, and Jared Rexing actually jumped in the bottom lane as well. That leaves the 90 car on the outside with no friends and actually going backwards there.
Well, the 95 thought about it.
95 thought about it, but he's now gone to the bottom lane. So, again, leaving Scott Crump out to dry. So Chris Wright now to the lead. Chad Frankenfield maybe trying to get past Josh Clark, but a little bit of side drafting there keeps these guys side by side here. But we could potentially see here pretty soon some of our chasers, Chris Wright, Chad Frankenfield, Jared Rexing running 1, 2, 3, running this bottom line, especially on this restart. That we as Rexing looks to the bottom.
As I say, he's not too aggressive. He puts a 3-wide move on Frankenfield. That's going to put him in a weird spot in a 3.
Oh, I don't love that.
And that's gonna. I don't love that. It's going to hurt the 10 more than it hurt the rest of them. And they're 3 wide down the front, and that's just going to slow them all down.
Yeah, the 90 car actually made out fairly well with that on the top side of 3 wide. That typically does not happen.
Yeah.
Here comes Jared Rexing battling Joshua Adams in that 95 car. Dallas Mahan is going to be able to separate those two there just a little bit.
Going to push him.
Oh wow! Look at that. That's huge.
That's gonna tick off the 15 car for sure. That was a late move. Luckily, Chad saw it coming and gave him room. But I know that with what Chad's racing for, he's not going to appreciate that move from the 95. But the 95's got a couple guys in his corner in the game, so I don't blame him as the 28's looking for the lead back on the 20.
Yeah, those 2 tires.
I told you.
That was my hand.
15's around.
Chad Frankenfield involved in the crash.
Frankenfield, it doesn't look like they hit anything too terribly hard. Not going to do anything good for his track position. It looks like the 15 is just on the 41, and it finally just sent him around. And
Nick Massey with some great wreck avoidance right there. And looks like these two, besides the loss of track position, will live to fight another lap.
That's so
But that
sudden.
wasn't
Is
Let's
that
see
a
what that
bump?
hit does.
But yeah, I was gonna say, is that a hit? Like that was such a sudden turn on the 41 car. Is that net code? Is that like an actual hit? Do these cars get unsettled that easily and that violently? Like what's happening there, Tate? You probably had experience with that, with guys racing so close and being involved in a wreck like that. But just look at this, just how quickly that 41 just gets suddenly turned.
You see Chad's a little offset to the left on the 41 trying to push him. And if you're straight with his next gen car, I feel like it just kind of pushes you forward. But if you're off to the left like that, it will turn you around. I don't know if that's a little bit of a netcode thing, but that's just kind of how the cars react on iRacing. And honestly, watching the little bit I've watched of the next gen car in real life, it kind of seems the way that they are. Once they're sideways, good luck saving it. We'll have to see what that. And there was pretty significant. There was a pretty significant hit on the right rear of Chad's car with the left front of Myhan's car. So we'll have to see what kind of damage that gives them. Like I said, with these cars, you don't know if it's going to give you 3 seconds or 5 minutes. It's really, really unpredictable.
Yep, so another championship contender involved there. As we see the field fall under caution here. Well, now we're getting to the stage where this could be a short run race to the finish there. Scott Haney.
We're running out of cars.
But yeah, we are. We are definitely running out of cars there.
12 cars on the lead lap.
And Scott Crump, though, this battle is not over for the second and final position. With Chris Wright leading, I'm telling you, I don't know who's led the most laps out of these two, if it would go to Rexing or the 90. But that's another lap, excuse me, that's another bonus point that could be awarded to one of these drivers.
Yeah, and those points could be huge.
And I mean, the way they're running, we will see, by my calculations, is really rough math, as I've been saying all night long. But this is definitely going to come down to 1 or 2 points between the two with how they're running right now. There's only 2 spots separating the front two. They both have gotten laps led. Jared Rexing has 1 more point to the good based on that pole win. But I don't know. The one thing that's the X factor there is who's led the most laps, and you have to throw in Joshua Adams into the mix as well. He's been up front there. I know the 10 had a solid, good run early in this race, and then Scott Crump was able to take the lead away kind of the mid portion of this race as well. So I don't know who has led the most laps out of those 3, but that's another point that is up for grabs and could be very much needed toward the end of this one.
Yeah, bonus points make our job up in the booth that much harder to kind of figure out who exactly is in position to make their way through to the championship. For right now, it would be fair to probably assume it would be Chris Wright and Jared Rexing, actually, with Rexing running in 5th position. Through all of that chaos, actually, maybe him falling back and being stuck to the inside lane actually helped him get through all of that. But we look at our points before as we come into this race here. Scott Crump just 2 spots ahead of Jared Rexing. Points-wise, he was 2 points behind Rexing. Rexing, though, got a point. Both of them got points for laps led. Oh, man, it could be tied there on the cut line between Crump and Rexing.
But Rexing would get a point for the pole.
He already has the point for the pole in our current graphic.
Already added. Oh, okay.
So we added that. This is at the green flag. This is what the point situation was. So that's right now, unless Rexing or Crump hold the most laps led point, which I don't think either of them do.
No, they would be tied, and I believe in real NASCAR it would go to the best finish of the round. And currently, Scott Crump would have it. Did Rexing get second at Dover? I can't remember.
So. I thought so.
He might have, yeah. So
I think he did.
Oh man, this could get really interesting.
Yeah.
So if here's a question: if Scott Crump finishes second now, then where does that put us? Does it go to the next best finish?
I believe
so.
It would go to the next best finish. Yep.
All right, that'd be crazy if we go to a double tiebreaker here in this. But, of course, long way to go in this race. But, I mean, keep an eye on these points. They were close going in. They're going to be close coming out.
The best way and the best thing I've ever heard from one of my favorite commentators, and that would be Steve Letarte. He was like, I never wanted to know about the points. You know, the best thing that I would know would be to win. That's
fair.
All fire stir way of making it into the next round, this round being the championship finale at Homestead. I know I'm in if I win. That's what needs to be on the mind of the 10 car. That's what needs to be on the mind of the 90 car. And perhaps that 15 if he can fight his way through traffic once again.
Well, they're filed 2x2 here, 22 laps to go, and we hit the green flag. It's going to be really interesting here. Chris Wright's going to lead the field back to green. He's got, who's that? Josh Adams right behind him on the top side. Then they've got Dustin Dewar as well on the top side. Dustin's having a great race there, running up inside the top 10, top 6 right now. This could get really interesting here. We'll see. Chris Wright with the good launch.
Jump for the outside.
But not a bad response, though, from the 28 car. Looks like he'll be easily able to slot into second here, and I think the 95 might still have to settle for 4th position behind Scott Crump.
Yeah, I think if 90 is able to get to Clark's bumper, Clark might have a run down the back, but it looks like Clark's too close to the 20. He might think about it. There he goes to the bottom. Remember, Clark has those 2 tires. Crump is going to push Clark because Crump would rather go with Clark than he would a guy he's racing the championship for. And the 10 put the 95 in the fence. The 10 put the 95 in the fence.
Big hit.
Get off the track, Josh. Get off the track. There you go. Keep it rolling. Let's stay green.
Good job. Yep. Keeps the car rolling there. No other contact. Just stay green.
Josh, keep that thing going.
He had perhaps one of the most dominant cars of the night as Joshua Clark takes the lead away from the 20 of Chris Wright, and he's brought along Scott Crump, but look who's getting into the picture. There are pole setter Jared Rexing right on the back bumper, trying to keep that 90 car in tow and in sight. You cannot let him get away there. This late with 20 laps to go.
Yeah, so the thing here is with Rexing for Scott Crump, he now has to win this race basically with Rexing in his position. Here we go, Scott Crump going for that move.
20's going to go with. The thing is, the thing Clark has going for him is whenever any of these guys make a move, they're going to go with him because they don't want the other guy to get the spot. So I'm surprised the 10 hasn't got up with the 20 and pushed ahead of Crump.
Now
and then as soon as the 20 gets by, as soon as the 20 makes a move, they'll do the same thing. But now they got more company. Now they got Fody and Thornquist and a few others back there. So it may be a little harder for him to do. But Crump's holding a pretty steady wheel there on the bottom. Most of the time when these guys get on the outside, there's the run. That run down the backstretch is just unbelievable.
And that allows the 10 car, even being within 1 spot by our calculations, if he finishes 1 spot ahead of the 90 car, he would be in the championship 4. Tyler Foley in that 40 car there, going to give a push to the outside lane. Yeah, Scott Crump, he's in a world full of hurt on the bottom lane. He really needs to clear up and minimize the bleeding there now.
Yeah, but, so he is now totally clear here. The question is, does Tyler Fody now get to him? Meanwhile, Chris Wright going to go for the lead of this race. Chris Wright, for all the other chasers, he's the best possible guy to win this race outside of probably Josh Clark, just because Chris Wright's already in a virtual lock coming into this race again with 14 point gap to the cut line here, and only 15 cars running on the lead lap here. He's in a pretty safe position as long as he doesn't put himself in any precarious positions, but he still wants to win this race and get that full-on guarantee that he's going to make it. He's got the support of Scott Crump right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you see the push for the 90. He knows that if the 20 is ahead of the 10, he's got a better chance of making this championship 4. He knows the guy he's racing is in that yellow number 10 Nesquik Chevrolet, so he's going to try and make it with a race with him, but Wright's going for the lead. He's gonna have to run into one. I think he's gonna clear Clark. Clark's tires maybe giving out. Remember, he's got those 2 tires. So we'll see what the field does here. All these guys up around him are racing for those last 2 championship 4 spots. So we'll see
look at this. Big loss for the 90 car.
And the 90 car is going to lose not 1, not 2, but perhaps 3 spots as they clear the corner there, as the 92 of Thornquist was able to get in front, fill that hole. And now the 90 car is in a world full of hurt. He desperately needs to catch back up. This is not what he wanted to see. That 10 car in front of him and more cars ahead of him.
Yeah, by our calculations, he needs the 10 car, 2 cars behind him for them to tie on points and for him to maybe get the tiebreak, but technically he'd have to be second or higher for that to work. So he wants the 10 car, 3 cars behind him. Right now, he's 3 cars or almost 3 cars behind that 10 car.
And what do we do if there's a caution? There's 14 laps to go. If there's a yellow right now, where are we going? Are we pitting? I think I would pit.
Track position seems so important, though.
I don't know. Extra grip.
I guess it.
Chad's
15 car
again.
and the
There's our
32
caution.
round.
What do we do?
Oh my
Who
God,
knows?
Tate.
Chad's wrecking again. I don't know who else I saw back there, but there looks like maybe
It was the 32, I think, of Dustin Dewar.
Congratulations there, Tate.
Your
You
official
are now a
commentator.
bona fide commentator.
looks like the
Ask
11 got a
question.
decent piece of that.
Dustin Dewar, I think, was the car that's fully spun around on the racetrack that brought out that caution there. We'll take a look once again and watch here from 32.
That might be the 11 of Matthew Weeks' championship hopes right there with that hit right there into the
yeah.
wall.
Yeah, that's probably day over. If it wasn't earlier in the night, it's probably definitely day over for the 11 car there. And now we get to figure
11.
out what...
15 and the 11 both. So that
what
kind
these
of
guys
narrows
have
it
to
down
do.
between 3 cars. I mean, if I'm... Oh, man, this is tough. If I'm Clark, I'm pitting. Because why not?
Yeah. So
Come get some tires.
Here's the thing. Clark's in a bit of a trickier situation. If I'm, one of these championship honestly, if I'm Alexander Van de Sant, I'm taking 2 tires. 2 outside tires and call it a day.
Might
He's
as
running
well.
9th right now. What else do you have to lose?
Exactly. I love that call. Thornquist is going to... Nope, he ain't going to say... He almost did.
Thornquist,
Nick-
oh my
Nick
God,
Massey.
Van de Sant stays out.
Oh!
Okay.
Okay, we got championship leader Nick Massey and championship 4 hopeful Van de Sant, both staying out on old tires. I don't think it's the winning move, but clearly I didn't know a whole lot tonight, so we'll see what we got going.
Yeah, you're up in the booth there, Tate, so what do you know?
I like him doing
Exactly.
something different. Meanwhile, was that Scott Crump with was that a 2 tire?
It had to have been. Had
No.
to have been.
There was no way that was that quick.
Had to have been 2 tires. I don't know.
That's
Or unless he did not
Maybe he missed a
did not
stall.
make it. He
I've
may
been
have
there
missed a
before.
stall. And if he's done that there
that's a
he'll be the
glitch in
last
timing
cars.
scoring.
on the lead lap, but we could go back and review
No.
that.
Yeah, let's go through because that looks like a glitch in timing and scoring because it's saying that he hasn't pitted since lap 101, but we clearly just saw him on pit road.
Well, maybe he hasn't
Maybe he
stopped in
missed-
his box since lap 101.
Oh, that could be where our timing and scoring is getting that from. And it could be just that here. Let's take a
And
look.
if it's another mistake on pit road, will that be the nail in the coffin of the chances for the 90
my
car?
God,
He
and it
misses
was.
Pit road.
Wow.
Oof. That's hard to watch. That is hard to watch.
I mean, this entire round's
I've-
been defined by mistakes with pit road. I mean, we
Yeah.
saw it at Dover, where Rexing and Frankenfield lost wins because of that. We're seeing that here tonight. We saw, I forget who it was last week as well, I think had issues on and off the pit road. Even Rexing had a slow pit stop early in this race that got him caught up in a couple of those cautions, lost him that track position earlier on. This round is defined by mistakes made off the racetrack rather than on.
Maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise. Maybe these tires will cool off enough to where he's able to have that short run speed. I don't
But the thing is,
think it will, but I mean, you
what do we
never
often
know.
say about the cars that they like to stay out there on pit road? You never want to be the last car that did not pit. And right now, that is what the 90 car is going to have to deal with. And the 10 car is right behind him, hungry.
Yeah, if I'm the 10 car, I'm licking my chops right now.
You're going to restart with less than 10 to go here, make it 9. Alexander Van de Sant, though, has that position, I believe, by 1 point over the 10 of Jared Rexing by my quick calculations. However, if Rexing moves up by any spot, it would knock that 97 car out based by his pole earlier today and leading in lap. I don't believe yes, the 97 car has led a lap. But
I'm
he
going to
already
save my
started
math
lap
doing it until
before.
the end of the race because I don't even want to know because they're going to be changing spots. There's probably be more yellows. We're probably going to see one of those guys with a white banner up against a wall at some point. So, I mean, there's going to be some hurt feelings. There's going to be some roughed up virtual offenders. But at the end of the night, there's going to be 4 of us racing for a championship. We're we're going to have about 9 laps to see who those final 2 spots will be.
And Nick Massey, who we haven't talked much about at all here tonight, at one point taking the wave around to get back on the lead lap, in control of this race when it could count the most.
Yeah, what he's got going for him is that he's going to be able to get a little bit of a jump. That I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I feel like if he does get the jump, he's going to have people with the draft hot on his heels. But if he kind of stacks them up, I don't see a winning strategy here with these old tires. But
if the caution
once again, what do I know?
Changed everything as well. So the first car on newer tires is going to be the 10 of Jared Rexing. Everybody else in front of them, those first 4 cars, do not have the fresh rubber there.
Real quickly, before we get started,
oh, go ahead.
Who's your guys' picks for the win? Who's your pick for the win?
I like the 10 car, but the question is, if things get too aggressive up front because people are in desperate mode, can you avoid the wreck? We've seen wrecks break out inside of this top 5 because of desperate men making desperate moves, and right now you have 4 of them all with a shot to win in older tires.
I'm voting full chaos. I'm going 41. Dallas, my hand there. First guy on fresh tires.
I'm also going to go full chaos. He's a little further back. The 40 car of Tyler Fody.
Oh, wow. That's a lot for the back. All right.
Full chaos. Full chaos mode engaged. Here we go. Green flag this time. 9 to go. Massey gets a huge jump. 10 cars will be hot on the heels of the 90. 41's hot on the heels of the 97. 10 cars has those fresh tires. If he has the ready, might try to dive it in here. Here's the 28 to the bottom with fresh tires as well. Joshua Clark. Can he be the spoiler? There's a lot of white spoilers, a lot of white banners. 28 car doesn't have one of those, but he doesn't care. He's looking for a checkered flag.
Oh, and he's around.
He got turned. He got turned.
Tate, that's the second time in like as.
Come on,
man, you gotta stop with the jinxing.
No, dang it.
Oh, yellow's out. Caution's out.
But Scott takes the lead, and if he were to win this race, that would knock out the 10 and the 97. That move did not work out at all for Alexander Van de Sande. He lost several positions there, but Joshua Clark beat him.
It just looks like 20 car was hot on his heels.
Right, yep.
20 car was right there, and looks like the 20 is trying to make a move to the outside. When he did, he just clipped Clark. And that's the end of the Clark's night. Dang it, man.
You have no one to blame but yourself, Tate.
I know.
You have no one.
There's nothing.
With great power up in the booth comes great responsibility. David Westergaard and I learned that last season. Yeah. Actually, honestly, knock on wood, Alex and I have been pretty solid about it this season. We haven't jinxed that many drivers.
Well,
we've jinxed a couple.
Next week, then.
We've jinxed a couple
next weekend.
But it hasn't been that bad.
Now that I've seen the 91 car win at Daytona earlier this year, the thing I want to see most in this league is that 28 car doing burnouts at the end of the race. He's been so close so many times, and it just never seems to fall his way. I'm assuming they're going to call that a racing deal. So, I mean, it's heartbreaking, really, because that Joshua Clark's one of my favorite people on this sim. And I've been racing with him for about 2 years now, twice a week pretty much, and it's been so close so many times. There's nothing more that I want to see than that 28 car doing burnouts, but unfortunately, tonight won't be the night, and Clark, if you watch this back, I hope you don't. Sorry, that was all on me.
Well, you heard
I'm gonna shoot a message in that Pro Edge Racing chat and let him know.
No, don't. He does not need to know about it.
Let him
If
find
one of
out.
these other guys watches it back. The thing I got going for me is none of us had very good nights, so hopefully none of them watch it back. Oh. What are we going to have to go? About 4 or 5 laps.
Yep, and Rexing with the newest tires there, and Chris Wright, who so far, unless anything major happens right behind him, he should be a lock into that final 4. But right now, it's Scott Crump who is in desperate mode. Older tires there, miscue on pit road, put him in this spot. It's not where he wanted to be, although that's where he needs to be right now. Could a mistake on pit road propel him into the championship 4 if trouble breaks out behind him?
That would be the proper fitting ending to this season, wouldn't it? A mistake somehow, propels you into championship contention, and I mean, credit for Scott Crump at least for recognizing he missed that box and not trying to recover that mistake and just staying out there. So this call could be interesting because Yeah, what was it? Probably 3 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. You've got Crump and Massey on old tires leading the field. You've got Rexing, Wright, Fody, next cars who have fresh tires, and then Van de Sant, unfortunately, yeah, he's way back there with old tires. He's kind of double screwed.
Double screwed. Sounds like a drink you don't want to drink.
Oh God, no.
I know some drivers that will be in need of one after tonight there, though. We have had no shortage of action on the racetrack there, and it all comes down to the final 10 miles here on this racetrack here. 6 laps to go. The brilliant virtual banks of Charlotte Motor Speedway. You know, I've had the privilege of actually driving on this racetrack here with my little Toyota Corolla, and let me tell you, it is one of the best facilities I've ever had the pleasure to do that on. I love Charlotte here, love living here, and this is one of my favorite racetracks here. And tonight, it's going to be someone else's favorite racetrack, and perhaps 3 other drivers' not so favorite racetrack, as we finally figure out the question we've had all season long: who will our final 4 be?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Crump, right now I'm a little thankful that I missed my box, but at some point he's gonna have to battle this 10 car, unless something happens. I just think that even if there's a green white checkered, the 10's gonna have an advantage, or the 20 or the 40. There's my pick right there, Fody. He jumped like 5 spots there. Chaotic evil 40 car. We'll see if he can get it up there and get a win. He's if you ask Brandon Key, he's the best in the league. So I don't know what Key knows, but he's got the answers. And Fody's one of the most talented guys I've ever raced against. So I would not be surprised to see him spoil the party and take one from one of these guys battling for one of these spots.
But yeah, let's talk about this move made by the 90 car. I'll point you to what happened last week. Nick Massey in the same position. He elected to start on the outside. I bring that up because one of the green-white checkers that we had there with cars right behind him, they all crashed starting in the 3rd position. It was actually Scott Crump and Matthew Weeks that made contact there based on the position that the leader took on the outside lane. Now we see that once again happening with the 90 car. It blocks the 10 car in on the freshest tires. So that's going to allow, perhaps, in the mind of the 90 of Crump there, he's going to be boxed in by the 48 car. The 20 will hopefully give him the push he needs. And could it be enough for 4 laps to hand him the lead and possibly the win to get him into Homestead? I like the move made by the 90 car. The question is, will it be enough time for the 10 car to overcome it? Green flag.
Yeah, I think the 20's in this spot right now. They might not be driving the same manufactured car, but the 48 and the 20 are teammates in other leagues. If I'm the 10, I'm diving to the bottom right here. Dive to the bottom, get that 3 wide. He didn't leave him any room to do it. So 10 car's got to hope that he clears the 20 before he gets out of turn 2. And he got a little tight, not be able to do it. 20 car's going to be in a really good spot. But they stay with the 10. The 10's going to the bottom.
How about the
push
40
from the
car
40
going with the 10? Yeah.
Coming to 3 to go.
Nick Massey on older tires, not going to be a match for the 10 of Jared Rexing, who now has 6 sights on the 90. Will it be enough? They're side by side for second.
Let's take
3 laps to go.
Rexing needs more support from this 40 car to get to the 90, because if Scott Crump wins this race, then Jared Rexing is out of the championship 4 with Chris Wright in the current position here. So it is still very much all to play for right now, but Jared Rexing needs all the support he can get from these guys in the bottom lane here. He needs to get alongside that 48 car, but he just can't. Great driving from Nick Massey right now.
Perfect for Rexing.
And the 48's around.
Perfect. Not perfect.
Oh, and the 20's around.
Got hit. Oh, no.
20 was damaged. That wreck began with the 10 car. Do we see an EOL on the 10? Does that disastrously take out the chance of Rexing making it to Homestead?
Oof. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be David Hoots here. I don't want to make that call. 20 car looks like he dodged most of it. Should be able to.
48 definitely got a bump from the 10.
Ooh.
And if this is an EOL, you could say sayonara to Homestead for Rexing there, because that will place him at the end of the line with virtually no shot of making it in.
Let's take a look back here, see if we can find what's going on. I'm sure you are as well, Tate, here, but I'm listening in here to these driver radios, seeing if we can spot anything. No EOLs. No EOLs. I just heard that from Ethan Reisner up in race control. No EOLs.
Though I don't know if it's the most consistent call. I appreciate the call. Let these drivers race. Knowing racing him as much as I have, I know he did do it on purpose. It looks like the 48 did get kind of tight there and had to get out of the gas, and that's what ended up causing the wreck. But
Chris Wright there, thankfully, with only 12 cars on the lead lap, it's not enough to really. I believe he's still lock in order to make it on points there, but that was not what he needed to see. And actually, by our calculations, he's still in the 3rd position there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think iRacing took any of the spots away from him. I still think he's up at 3rd. Granted, he's got some damage.
He has damage on that car, but he is in the 3rd position there. So now, no matter what the 90 car decides to do, Rexing is going to be the car next to him,
which is not a great place for Rexing to be in, to be completely honest with you there, because you're reacting now to the guy in front who's going ahead, and you don't have the best view of that. So, I mean, Chris Wright being there, that could make Rexing's life pretty difficult depending on who Scott Crump decides to line up with.
Yeah, he'll have the choice of the 20 or the 40 right there, but
because Chris Wright actually doesn't really care who wins this if it's between the 90 and the 10. Because he's still in this if either of those guys make it through. I'm sure he's probably not super happy with the 10 car because that 10 car was involved in the wreck that kind of hit this 20 and got him involved in that. But I don't know. That'll be interesting here. And I don't know ultimately where the allegiances kind of lie with that 20, if he's friendly with the 90 car, friendly with the 10 car, or any of that kind of in terms of throughout this field in that sense.
So, with 2 laps to go here, we're going to have a green-white checker. The 90, we're impressed. I am impressed that he was able to hold on. He did have some of the momentum there work in his favor of cars behind him. But let's not forget that he's up front because of a miscue on pit road, a miscue that could perhaps save him of losing this race here. So we'll see how that works out, if it in his favor or not. But the 10 car needs to do everything he humanly can to get around that 90 car, because if the 90 wins, he's in. Chris Wright, and I don't know how much of a factor Wright is going to be for very long, considering he does have damage on that Chevrolet Camaro. So we'll see how that plays a factor. There's a lot of unknowns here with 3 miles left. And we are in overtime here. We could see another attempt at a green-white checker. This will be the first one, but we have up to 3 attempts here for the Elite Racing Network. If trouble breaks out once again, we will rack them, stack them once more.
Yes, we will. It's gonna be really interesting here. We could see ourselves going. This is the first official overtime. We have 2 more overtime attempts at this here to ultimately decide a winner here. So still potentially a long way to go in this race if we see another caution coming out before the white flag is waved here. It's going to be, yeah, I mean, I've been saying this all night. It's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be intriguing to see how this plays out. Scott Crump picks the bottom lane, Jared Rexing up top, so Rexing has Tyler Fode, and Fode, I think, has been pretty open about supporting Rexing, at least so far in this race, and pushing that 10 car along. 90 car maybe getting some support from the 20 if those two are friendly as well.
But that 20 car, as I mentioned, is damaged, so I don't know how long that 20 can help that 90 car. The best thing that the 90 has in his favor is that he controls the restart. Will he be able to fire off and have enough time, enough of a gap that the 10 and the 20 and the 40 cannot have a chance to run him down? That's what needs to go. I mean, the 90 car is staring at his homestead right in front of him. If a car gets in front of him, though, those hopes are dashed. Can you hold your breath? For 3 miles here, the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, it is about to get intense. Scott Crump looking for a way in to battle for a season-long championship, and it all comes down to this. Jared Rexing, the pole setter, trying to make sure his name is among those of the best of the season. We find out in less than 3 miles. The Byrd 200 back under the green flag. They're side by side, Rexing and Crump to settle out. 2 laps to go at Charlotte.
what a start by Rexing. Let me just say that. That is the best restart I've seen. And the 90 car is not going to make this easy. He might hit him.
They'll go side by side, but
yeah.
I mean, Rexing has the preferred line. He has the preferred tires. He just needs support right now from behind, and right now these two launch together so well that they just don't have anybody behind them. The 20 car is going to be the first on the scene. 20 is going to be the first on the scene here. The question is, who does he choose to support? It's going to be the 90 car, and that could be hugely disappointing for the 10 car. White flag is waved. The race ends no matter what happens now.
Rexing on the outside desperately needs to make up one more final spot. He can see his ticket to Homestead.
He needs
Thurquist. No, Thurquist, go with the 10.
Scott Crump, because of a miscue on pit road, missed it entirely. That miscue is going to propel him to the championship.
Here we go, though.
Side by side,
Here we go, though.
It's not gonna be
Here we
that.
go.
No, it's not. No, it's not. They're around before the line.
Alexander Vanderstant is going to go to Homestead because of that.
No.
Oh, my word.
Wait, okay, first of all, that's not confirmed. But oh my god, Chris Wright wins. Chad Thurnquist second, Tyler Fode third, and potentially Chad Thurnquist. Or excuse me, potentially
if anyone ever wants to see the dumpster fire of what the next gen car is, just go back, watch the 30 seconds of that last lap back, or even just the last 12 seconds of it.
It was netcode. They called that netcode. Race Control called that netcode. So that's it. These are the final results.
Alexander Vanderstant, by my calculation, is going to win a ticket to Homestead there, and Chris Wright is going to join him.
And caught in all of the madness there, Brent Jones with his second straight top 5.
Heck yeah.
Unfortunately for him, won't get talked about as much because what just happened? I mean, I was thinking the 90 car had it, and he just got tighter and tight out of turn 4, and I saw the 10 car coming, and then it didn't look like the 90 gave him a ton of room to be up there, and I knew he wouldn't, and ended up giving the win to Chris Wright.
Well, at least celebrate here for Chris Wright, your race winner here tonight of the Byrd 200. But man, we're gonna have to go back and look at that if we get the opportunity to, because wow.
We better get the opportunity. We need to watch that.
Yeah, we need to see exactly what happened there. That's no call on that final incident from Race Control. So again, letting them race and deeming that, you know what, you've got the championship on the line. Whatever happens there up to the line, that's cool. Wow.
Wow, Jared Rexing and Scott Crump both did not even make it to the start-finish line before most of the field passed under their own power there. They both came to almost a dead halt right there. Chris Wright, by virtue of winning, we know he's locked in, and I believe Vanderstant, as I had mentioned there, that 4th position there, he had been running tail end of these Championship 4 hopefuls all night long, and on the final lap, the final stretch, 500 feet from the start-finish line, a ticket to Homestead falls into his clutches.
Yeah, what a... I don't have many words for that one. I
can finally say something that I've always wanted to say here, Rashav and Tate. Have you ever?
What did Larry Mack say? Well, I did a couple years ago, but no, I've never.
No, I have never. Oh my goodness! Let's watch this final lap unfold.
Yeah, the 92 goes to the 20, leaving the 10 kind of stranded and side by side with the 20. 90 car just gets dead tight. He has no pace out of turn 4. Both of them go to split, and the 90
goes
frankly
up
just
to block.
Didn't give the 10 enough room.
Yeah.
And that is going to give Chris Wright the win, and it looks like it's going to give Alexander Vanderstant the final 4 spot. And that, if I'm Rexing, I'm pretty mad right now. I know Crump's going to be mad because he went down the backstretch. He probably thought he had this thing won, and he's going to finish 11th instead. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Rexing almost came across the start-finish line on his roof, doing the old Clint Boyer there.
Yeah, Joey Chitwood couldn't do that.
Well, we do know one man that's going to be happy and one man that will be racing for a championship. That will be Chris Wright. We can confirm that there with his win here tonight. Wright is going to be part of that Championship 4. We'll be talking to him momentarily. Tate, We know that you're going to be in there. We've been talking to you all night long. This all probably happened because of you calling the race, to be honest.
Yeah, I had a couple jinxes there.
If you wanna take it up with somebody, look at that 56 car.
Yeah. My DMs are open, so. Should we pull old Chris right in here, give a little victory lane celebration for the poor old fella? He had a long night.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Chris Wright. That was a night and a half. You came into this race fairly confident about your position in the chase, but obviously still a chance that you wouldn't make it. But to pull off the win there, despite everything that happened on that last lap and despite all the chaos that happened throughout that race, talk us through that. It must feel good to grab a checkered flag and obviously have that great momentum heading into Homestead next week.
Yeah, it's great to win. I didn't think I was going to win the race until about 50 feet before the line. I was pushing Scott. I thought we were wrecked, with Nick getting turned there. We got a piece of that, and I got my spot back. And then we took off on that restart, and I don't know. That was nuts. That was just nuts. These cars suck. This race sucked. Terrible track combination for this car. Just riding in line and everything. Like this next-gen car has still got some work to go before we can really put on a good show out here. I mean, there was a lot of wrecks and stuff. It's just from running too close, trying to side draft, because that's the only way to make a pass.
Well, right, though, you've done what many had hoped to do all season long, and now you're going to be running for a championship here. What do you feel are your odds of winning next week here? Now that we know who our final four are going to be. You, Tate, Alexander Van de Sant, and Nick Massey.
You saw how tonight ended. It. We won't know. Tate's in here. Tate can probably say the same thing. It's just with the way this drives and the way you have to race this thing, it's anything can happen all the way to the end. I drove pretty cautiously tonight until about 10, 15 to go. A teammate of mine was out of the race, and he told me how many were on the lead lap and that it was okay to race and try to win the thing. And so that's when I kind of started trying to side draft like everybody else was. So, I mean, it's just Tate's so good. Tate's going for both of them next week. Nick's really good. Van de Sant, he did what he needed to do with those guys wrecking each other. I just needed a solid night, and winning the thing was awesome. So,
yeah, I kind of piggy off that. I think we've all got about 25% chances at winning the thing, just because of how unpredictably these cars are. And I was telling them, Chris, that the race next week's probably going to be a lot like this week, only it's going to be a little bit more top dominant just with the progressive banking. I think you'll be able to throw a slide job and get in front of somebody, but it's going to be hard to stay in front of them down the next straightaway. So it'll be an interesting one for sure. I wish these cars had a little bit more power and a little less drag, but it's what we got to race with. And me, you, our buddy Nick, and Alexander Van de Sant are all going to have a chance. And I don't think anyone's got an advantage over anyone just because of the way these cars drive. And obviously, we've all done what we've needed to do to get there. But you don't even have to tell me, but what's your mindset going into the race next week? Are you going to put in a bunch of hours practicing, just knowing how unpredictable it is and how much practice by yourself really doesn't matter? Or are you just going to kind of show up 7:30 for practice next Wednesday and just see where you stack up?
With this new car, you know how it is, Tate. Once we get packed up, it's going to be just like you said. We'll be running by the wall, trying to throw sliders, but you'll be just sitting there riding. Because if you try to make a pass, just like tonight, there was a group of us that got out there, and we were just riding. We could have passed each other. We could have diced it up, but it made no sense to do so. Just sit there in a line and ride and ride and ride until it's time to race, and then everybody wrecks. Just like, once it got down to inside of 30, 40 to go, everybody wrecked. So if it was the B car, I'm sure you're going to throw some practice in for Phoenix. It matters because you actually are going to use the brake pedal. You're going to be able to run a little different, lines. Lap times are going to fall off. Whereas in this car, it's just in a draft line and waiting until the end to try to, make passes and put it on the edge.
Yeah, personally, I'm hoping for some long runs, but good luck to you. Hopefully, I can put a show on for you up in the booth Monday night at Phoenix, and then hopefully all 4 of us will be there at the end next Wednesday. Watching the way these races have gone, I don't think that'll probably be the case, but hopefully all 4 of us still have a chance and be able to give Rish and Alex a show up here in the booth. So, but good luck to you. And
you're my pick. You're my pick on Monday night. So, no pressure or anything.
P4.
Just get it done. All right. Somebody's got to win. Everybody I've talked to said, "Oh, I'm going to be about 4th out of the 4 of us on Monday night." And I'm like, "No, somebody's got to win. Somebody's going to have to be the guy."
Well, hopefully I'll definitely do some practice laps for that race. But yeah, good luck to you Wednesday. Hopefully, like I said, we'll give you a show on Monday and we'll see what we can't do.
All righty. It's cool that you interviewed me tonight. I normally am the one that's been getting to interview you. So the fact that you're up here to interview me, it's
because I wrecked on lap 78. So
there was some big wrecks tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Just before we let you go there, Chris, of course, want to let you do some shout outs here on the air here in Victory Lane.
Yeah, I want to give you guys a shout out doing the broadcast, the production team, dude. It's I know how hard it is now, how much you guys, have to fight with and go through just to get live and everything. So everybody that does all the broadcasting for Elite, I know we're bringing in the new F1 stuff. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be part of that or not, but I'm really excited to see where that goes, to see where, everything goes, winding down, getting everything ready for next year. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Chad. I know Chad does a lot for Elite. He runs a league race every night of the week. Then shout out to everybody at Walmart, Corbin, Kentucky, store number 1259. Everybody at Belly Up, Chairgating. My teammate Jacob was out there tonight. He had a good run until, a wreck. Just everybody wrecked at some point, just how bad you got it. Shout out to Nick was running up there. Tate, good luck next week to Tate. And, man, hopefully we have some green flag stops or something next week to be able to separate out and actually get to race.
All right. Congratulations again on the win there. Chris Wright, you're going to go race for a championship next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Chris Wright there, race winner, one of our 4 championship drivers. The other one, Tate Lytle, in here with us. We've also got Nick Massey, who got locked in last week, and we're still awaiting who exactly that 4th driver is going to be. We think it's Alexander Vandesant. It's yet to be confirmed by Race Control, but in the meantime, we're going to bring in 2nd place finisher Chad Thernquist. Thernquist, man, crazy finish there, but your best finish of the season. Got to be pretty happy with the way this race panned out and getting that result here right in the closing stages of this season.
I don't even know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. It was wild start to finish. There was a lot more give and take in the beginning, and I wanted to try and get the outside lane going, but no one wanted to go with me. And then when I fell back to around 15th, then people wanted to start making moves up front, and then as the race progressed, it just kept getting wilder and wilder. People were making some dumb moves, not keeping control of the car. I had bad moments myself, but yeah, a lot to process. And Chris said, thank you for the push. I told him I should have wrecked him for the win.
Well, the whole race just was crazy from the get-go there, and obviously it was going to get a little bit more intense toward the end there, but just walk us through. You have a unique position both on the racetrack, but also watching this championship battle brew. Did you know that things were going to get hairy there toward the end of that one?
With it being Crump versus Rexing and seeing the drama unfold in the Truck Series, where I clinched championship 4 at Martinsville, but they've had that rivalry going at it since Sundays, and it just translated over. Both of them kind of in that position where not really anything to lose, so both of them just going for it, made contact, whether it be net code or not, and just kind of scooted on by. Not my problem.
Tate?
Yeah, I was just looking at the points there. It looks like Vandesant is going to be our 4th championship 4 contender, but Chad Thernquist, always enjoy racing with you. What was obviously you and Clark and a few other guys were kind of the oddballs out there with all those guys racing for that final championship 4 spot. What was your mindset? Did you care about that at all? Were you giving them extra room? Were you giving them less room? What was kind of your mindset those last 15, 25 laps when everything was going crazy?
I wasn't really worried about who was in the playoffs or who wasn't. I just wanted to get practice going into next season where I could just jump straight out of the gate. But I try and race everyone fair, equally. Not going to be clean 100% of the time because I got stuck 3 wide middle and a dog leg. And I tried to give Frankenfield room, which led to me and Adams having a little bit of door banging and then net code where he got put in the wall. But I was just thinking, have a solid run, get some info about this car track combination, and then towards the end, in the top 10, smallest amount of damage out of 95% of the field. I'm just thinking, I can win this. Let's give it a shot. And it nearly worked. 28 thousandths off.
Yeah, man, it was close there, but still a great run. They're competitive all night long and have been showing great pace all season long as well. Before we let you go here, though, and celebrate the second place finish, want to give you a chance to make some shout outs here on the air.
You for being team owner. Finally get to do this.
Hey, man.
Been waiting forever.
This is awesome. It's great to talk to you up here, and man, you've been putting on a show for us this season. It's been good.
Yep, just wait for 2022A. Going to be a lot better. But thank you to Chad for putting all these series on. Next year, going to do F1 as well, so that's going to be a lot to enjoy. All the drivers for not totally, but mostly keeping it clean throughout the race, being smart about it. Productions, obviously, all you guys in here, making the broadcast awesome. And yeah.
All right.
Also, thank you to
Congratulations.
Byrd for sponsoring.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations tonight. We'll get a chance to talk to you hopefully sometime in the coming weeks, potentially even next week there. Congratulations on P2 tonight.
Can I get a win?
Well, you'll have to go out and grab it, man. Talk to those final 4 guys because they might be the guys you'll have to contend with.
I don't know about that. Nah, thank you.
Chad Thurquist there, your second place finisher. And now we get to our championship 4 contenders. We talked to Chris Wright earlier today. We'll talk to the second of our drivers who was confirmed tonight to be a Final 4 driver, Alexander Van de Sand. With 10 laps to go, did you still see yourself with a shot? You had older tires. Did you still see yourself with a shot to make that Final 4? Did you see this playing out the way it did? And now do you, talk us through just what you're feeling here now going into next week where you're going to go on Friday, fight for an IndyCar championship, and next Wednesday, fight for a Cup Series championship.
Yeah, I pretty much knew, like, going into that green-white checkered, I had all those cars between me and Scott and Jared, and I knew something like that would have to happen for me to have a shot, and it did. So, just luck. I did mostly the best I could, staying up front, dodged most of the wrecks, had one that I had to come in for, but, I just kept it clean and drove clean, and I had the track figured out. I just didn't really play my cards right for the final run, and lost that lead. And but just I can't believe that luck. I haven't had great luck this season. It's been up and down. So glad to see it come together. Just need to be perfect and execute it everything perfectly for next Wednesday.
Alexander, you are one of 4 championship drivers, all with one goal, and that is to win their first ever Cup Series championship in the Elite Racing League. However, you have the IndyCar championship to contend with on Friday there. I just want to know what your mindset is as far as being able to navigate both these cars. You're talking about 2 totally different type of mindsets there. How is the pressure going to get to you this week, and how do you plan on overcoming it?
Yeah, historically I haven't had much trouble switching between 2 cars, and I drive both fairly frequently. So, really looking forward to IndyCar. It's a track that gateway that I know super well. At the same time, I know Henry Bennett, who I'm fighting with, also knows it very well. So, we'll see. I'm definitely feeling more confident going into that one, just from a driving standpoint. Like, I know how to win in that car, and and at that track. But then, yeah, I'm just kind of taking it one race at a time. So after tonight, I'm just going to focus now on IndyCar for the next 2 days and then switch over to Cup and really go full bore on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same situation, only my two cars are a little more similar the next week or so with the Xfinity and the Cup car, although this Cup car is not really close to anything. But
Yeah.
I asked Chris the same thing. Obviously, I got the broadcasting thing going for like the last 50 laps, it seems like every race, and the racing thing the first 70 laps. Hopefully, it's a little different next week. But what's your mindset going into next week? Are you going to be aggressive, be a little more laid back, kind of like I felt like we were at the beginning of this race, kind of letting the guys, go on by and be a little crazy. But then if you do that and they don't wreck, you got to pass them all back. So I'm kind of interested. Are you going to try and? I told these guys I think my strategy is just going to be try and qualify up front and stay up there as long as I can. What kind of mindset are you taking into Homestead next week?
Yeah, main thing is going to be to start with good track position, and then keep that as much as I can. But also just I'm probably won't be super aggressive right at the start. I'm going to see like what lines are going to work and look at other people's moves and learn from them. So then come the end of the race, I can put myself in a good position to then execute the final run and get around the others.
All right. Well, Alex. Nope. Tate, you had one more?
Go ahead, Rich. No.
Okay. I was just going to close off there, man. Alex, it's going to be a crazy couple of days here for you. Of course, Friday night's going to be, exceptional to watch their WWT Raceway, and want to congratulate you here through all the chaos to grab that final spot there in the championship to go on and fight for a championship. Before we let you go here, though, want to give you a chance to make some shout outs as we always do here on the air, and wish you best of luck heading into next week.
Yeah, as always, huge thanks to all the guys at Do Good, Michael Goodman, Scott Haney, Dustin Dewar, and Brent Jones isn't, I guess, officially on our roster, but he's helped us out a ton. They had all awesome results in the second half of this season, so really proud of all the work we've put in, and big thanks to them for all of their support, and then also thanks to my usual sponsors, Race First Broadcasting and Happy Trails Chili Company.
All right. Congratulations again there, Alexander Van de Sant. You're one of your final 4 drivers for next week. Also, check out Friday night's race at WWT Raceway. He'll be going for a championship versus Henry Bennett. Congratulations, Alex. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And we won't leave out our last championship 4 driver. I know we've got some long interviews here tonight, but we can't leave out Nick Massey here. A little bit of a quieter night here tonight for you because you got yourself locked in last week there. But Nick, you now get a chance to understand what guys how they're going to race, especially when a championship's on the line. You now know who the 3 other drivers you'll compete against for a championship are. How are you feeling after tonight, and how are you feeling getting ready for next Wednesday's championship finale at at Homestead?
I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know. Last time we went to Homestead, I think when these cars first came to the sim, it was a little bit more multi-groove, and I think they somewhere along the line they updated it and it became like a 1 lane on the bottom track. So I'm hoping it's back the other way now, where we can move around a little bit, have a little bit options on our lanes, and I think we'll be pretty good. I'm looking forward to getting a little more strung out compared to tonight. Tonight was like Daytona out there for a while after these restarts. It was nuts.
Well, Nick, I believe I hinted at this last week there with your win there, but I think you've been driving rookie in this lobby, but veteran status all season long, and now you're going into your first season with a shot at the championship here. What are just the emotions here of having a very solid, good run this season?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting coming in here as like a rookie and have sitting here with 3 wins going into the finale. Didn't really expect to be that great in this car because it doesn't really suit my driving style. I'm more of a guy, you have to be aggressive in these cars. You got to take runs, you got to throw blocks, and that's just not my style. I'm more, methodical, let guys go if they're faster, get them back later kind of driver. So I didn't think I'd be that good, but I think like tonight, I kind of didn't have a good qualifying run. Just my strategy, I was locked in, so I was trying to just stay out of trouble and be there at the end, and it almost worked there. I almost had a shot at the win up until that second to last green white checkered, but didn't quite get it. Got in a little trouble there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it and going against this guy Tate in the booth. Hopefully, he had a show there after getting. I told you I was coming, Tate. I told you I was coming, and then you didn't wait for me, man. You wrecked out before I got there. But
I know. I wasn't sure if you were wrecked. It's a going joke. I don't know if these guys know or not, but me and Nick always just PM each other things that you don't want to be PM'd during the race. Like he'll PM me good win as I'm leading with like 5 to go, which is just trying to jinx you. So I PM'd him today, where are you at? And he says he just took the wave around, and then next thing I know, I think the next time I crossed the start finish line, I was hitting the wall at about 160 miles an hour. So didn't really do myself any favors there, but I think Alex called you a rookie, which I guess by definition in the series you are. But Nick's far from a rookie. This dude won the Erska Championship last year. Bout did it again this year, which Erska is another league, which a lot of these drivers race in. Very competitive. So Nick's no slouch. I don't want to be the guy that gets beat by the quote unquote rookie, just because Nick's far from a rookie. He's very experienced. Dude's super talented. Like he said, he's not going to dive you. He's not going to block you. I mean, he might if it's for the win, but it's not like on lap 12 he's going to be throwing blocks to the inside of the track. And you can kind of expect he's one of those guys where if he's faster, you let him go, because if you're faster later in the race, he'll let you go. And I really respect that from Nick. And it's another reason why I'm glad he's in the championship 4. I know he's going to race me the way I race him, and I think it could come down between me and him, and we'll see how that plays out. But with these cars, I mean, it's anyone's race, and especially at Homestead, me and Nick, I feel like, are two of the better ones at that track. But with this car, I don't think your skill levels on tracks really matters a whole lot. So, but I asked those other two guys what their mindset was. I think I kind of already know your mindset. Stay cool the first part of the race, make sure you're there at the end. But what would it mean and I'm doing the air quotes right now just because I'm not buying it, as a rookie to go out and win the championship? I don't know if it's been done before or not. I don't have those stats pulled up, but what would it mean for you in this series, Nick?
oh man, well, first off, I appreciate the kind words, because you're one of the guys too out here, one of the few guys that I feel comfortable racing around. I know you're gonna run me clean, not do anything stupid. But yeah, I think it's gonna be tough next week. I mean, anytime you get into a championship 4, I mean, anything can happen. All it takes is one mistake to take you out of it. So just trying to go in and not make any mistakes, getting pit road clean, stay out of trouble, because all these guys, they're not going for a championship, so they're just going to be going for it.
Yeah, and they're gonna want to race us harder for it, because they all feel like they got something to prove. I could think of a couple car numbers, a couple names. I won't say any of them out loud, but we're all thinking the same couple guys. So
And it's last time, yeah.
with something to prove, and hopefully it doesn't come at a detriment to any of us. I told Chris, I hope we're all there at the end with a chance, and give Alex, and I think Rich said he's out of here next weekend, or next week. So yeah, Alex and whoever else is up here, a show. So.
Oh yeah. But also, I feel like the last couple, I don't know about you, but I feel like the last couple of weeks have been like the most hot tempered I've ever seen these guys, at the end of these races. So I don't know if people will be on some revenge tours at the end of the season here.
Yeah, I wasn't in the session. I wasn't in the session the last 50 laps, but I can only imagine the words being exchanged between the wreck on the backstretch there, and then obviously the one coming to the line. So I can only imagine. I'm glad I wasn't in there, just because I don't really want to hear it. But yeah, there's gonna be some guys on. They're gonna be on one next week, and hopefully they leave us alone.
We're all going to find out here momentarily, but we're going to try and wrap this up here, guys, because I know it's still will be 11 o'clock on the East Coast here. I know these guys, some of us have to get to bed here. But, Nick, before we roll out, I do want to give you the shot of thanking anybody you'd like there before we send you on your way.
Yeah, to shout out to guys at 90 Motorsports. We're trying to get Chad in tonight, but fortunately he got caught up in some wrecks and didn't work out. But shout out to these guys. They've been great all year. FRN, who jumped on board. My buddies do that over there. So I almost got the win in the first race with him on the car. Didn't quite do it, but and shout out to you guys too for broadcasting for us all season long. Hopefully it's been entertaining to say the least.
All right, well, congratulations. Obviously, you made the Final Four last week, and we're looking forward to seeing how that all plays out when it comes down to it, next week for the actual Final Four. But congratulations again on making it there, Nick Massey, and we'll hopefully get a chance to speak with you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. And with that, I mean, wow, talk about a crazy race there and a crazy way to decide our championship four. But Tate Lytle, Alexander Vandesant, Nick Massey, and Chris Wright, those are the four drivers that will make it. Those are the four drivers that will fight for a championship. And Tate, you're up here in the booth here watching that all break down. How do you feel about the three drivers that'll join you next week?
It could be a lot worse, that's for sure. I think all three of them are... I've had my run-ins with Chris, but I mean, I feel like pretty optimal for those three. I know that they're gonna race me the way I want to be raced, and I'll do the same for them. Hopefully, no one else puts their sticks to the basket and changes the outcome. But I'm sure it will happen with this car and at Homestead. But before I give up the mic, I just want to give a shout out to you, Rish, for being up here in the productions booth all year long. I know you can't make it next weekend, but people don't understand the kind of work that it takes up here and the buttons you got to push. You got to know where they are. You got to know when to push them, and it really adds to the quality of the broadcast. And your broadcasts are easily some of the highest quality ones I watch or am a part of. So shout out to you. I know you're moving on to bigger, better things, and I know that all of us at Elite, Pro Edge Racing, everyone that I'm associated with wishes you nothing but the best, man. And hopefully we'll see you up here soon again.
Appreciate it, bud. I'm not gone for too long. I'm sure Chad will rope me back in here pretty soon. So you guys don't have to worry about that.
I can see the private message now.
Oh, man. Well, unless I don't have very much. I've already asked you all the stuff that I want to say, but I do want to give you the mic. What would you like to think?
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys need to get to bed, you East Coasters. It's like 11 o'clock there, and I know me being in the broadcast, having one more guy to ask questions probably cost you guys about 15 minutes of sleep. So apologize to you there. I appreciate you guys letting me up here in the booth. It's at least something fun to do if you get wrecked out. So I enjoy doing it. I appreciate you guys letting me up here. But I doubt anyone's still watching. I feel like everything that they probably wanted to listen to has already been heard. But shout out to Brent Wentz in days gone by. He's helped me a lot. He's been on the car every race that I've ran probably the last 2 or 3 years. So shout out to him. Go to his Twitter. He's got an Etsy page. A lot of cool vintage racing apparel. I don't know if you guys have checked it out or not, but he's always got something new. I mean, brand new hats from the 80s. I have a Kevin Harvick signed AC Delco hat from the year he won the championship back in 2001 that I got for dirt cheap on there. So, I mean, the guys, it's a gold mine in there. Go check him out. And yeah, that's all I got to say. You guys go have a nice slumber. I don't know what time you guys got to get up, but I'm 3 hours behind you, so I still got a couple hours of being awake left. So
must be nice.
That's fair.
Well, it's great talking to you there, Tate. I mean this in the nicest way. I hope I'm not talking to you again next week there.
Well, at the end of the race.
The end of the race.
Yeah, end of the race. 56 cars doing burnouts on the front stretch. Hopefully no one's virtually flipping me off, but if they are, so be it. Hopefully that's the outcome of next week. And yeah, I have the pleasure of running for one on Monday and then running for another one on Wednesday. So hopefully we can go out and at least give a show. I mean, it's an honor to be in both those championship fours, and it's not easy to do, to be in either of them. This is only Monday will be the second time I've ever raced for a championship in Elite, and then Wednesday obviously being the third. So it's been a good season, been an inconsistent season, but we've ran well when we needed to and won when we've needed to. So we'll hopefully next week's more of the latter, and we're holding a trophy at the end of the night. But yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me up here, and yeah, have a good night.
All right.
That was Tate Lytle there. Championship leader all night long, or all season long there. Hopefully we can say that one more week time. Rashav, it has been a wonderful season. One that I myself am heartbroken that it's coming to an end, at least with you by my side, because you, as I mentioned there earlier privately, have been the glue that has held the broadcast together. And I believe, no slight to anybody else, I know there's so many people, so many talented people that Chad has had to work on his productions, but you are of not the highest quality caliber, and I am sad that I will not be calling this race with you side by side next week there, but I definitely want to give credit where credit is due, and to everybody that is still out there. I know it's late. I know it is late, but the glue that really holds this together and makes this production fun is with you. So I appreciate everything that you do there, man, and best of luck for all your future endeavors in 2022. Definitely gonna miss you, man.
Definitely, man. I wish I could be there, and I appreciate that all so much. We've got a great group of guys here at the Elite Racing Network, and yeah, man, it's been so much fun having you back in the booth this season. It was, when we did this in 2020B, when we first got this network rolling, it was pretty sweet, and just how much things have changed. So, always love calling races with you, man. It's the highlight of my Wednesday nights, and yeah, best of enjoy the race tomorrow. I'll hopefully get a chance to tune in from home, and catch some of the action, especially towards the end of it. But I'll be back home for the holidays. But yeah, man. Looking forward to enjoying the racing and figuring out who the champion is. I think we've got a great season that's boiled down to 4 fantastic and deserving drivers in that final 4. I think any of those guys could walk away with it, and I'd be pretty comfortable claiming them as a worthy champion. These guys are all very much worthy of this championship. So I think you're in for an exciting race next week, as well as everybody who's who's still watching at home. Yeah, you guys had better tune in. Make sure you're subscribed, because man, oh man, we've got some exciting racing coming up over the course of this next week, because championship week officially starts now.
I cannot wait. Want to thank all of our partners there, Blue Egg, C2 Freight there, Byrd, Response Energy, for everything that they do, Chad for running this league as well, and then another congratulations to Chris Wright and all of our Championship 4 there. You'll be able to find that action right here on the Elite Racing Network on YouTube. That begins at 8:30 Wednesday night for the season finale, the JoinAPS.com Elite Series here, Cup Series on the Elite Racing Network. But from all of us here, and for the last time this season, I am Alexander Ned, that he is Rashav, and we are so glad you were able to join us here virtually at Charlotte. So long. We will see you for the season finale next week at Homestead.